Okay, we're now recording and streaming live on YouTube. I'm going to open the meeting, and Robin, if you're ready, let's go ahead and take roll call, please.
Yes, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:07. 7:07 p.m. Colby Jensen.
Here.
Robin, I'm here. Arthur.
Arthur will be here at 7:15.
Oh, okay. Will you announce him when he comes in so I can mark his time?
Yes.
Shannon.
Here.
Ren.
Here.
Great. Fred.
Here.
Thank you, Fred. Matt.
Here.
Lee.
I'm back. Hi.
All right. Susanna. I don't see Susanna.
I didn't see her yet.
Jonathan.
Here.
Tess.
Here.
Kevin, I know is going to be a few minutes late. Sean. Yeah, I see you.
Here.
Okay.
Sorry,
and
muted.
Jake.
Here.
Great. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have quorum.
Great, thanks, Robin. You might have seen on the agenda that it was written that Lee Jamison had turned out. However, that's not necessarily he's not necessarily the case. We don't know for sure at this time. It's been kicked up to the city, that issue. So for this meeting and the time being, Lee Jamison is a board member. Moving forward, and we have approval of the board minutes. Motion A, approve the GTLNC July 19, 2022 general board minutes. First, please.
First, Ren.
Thank you, Ren.
Second, Tess.
Thank you, Tess. Open
Discussion
for
on this matter?
I would like to just comment that I nominated Catherine Hatton for secretary and she declined. So no big deal, but if you want to throw that in, go ahead.
All right. Any other items?
Not from me. Thank you.
Anything from the public, stakeholders? Please raise your hand at this time and make yourself known. I don't see anybody raising their hands, so we'll move this to vote. Robin, please take the vote.
All right. Motion A to approve the GTLNC July 19th, 2022 general board minutes.
As
Robin?
amended.
Yeah, thank you. As amended. Okay. Robin, I'm a yes. Arthur is not here yet. Shannon?
Yes.
Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Thank you. Lee?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Susanna is excused. Jonathan?
You're muted, Jonathan.
Yes.
Great. Sean? Oh,
Yes.
wait, Tess, did I get to you? Tess? No. Tess?
You did not get to me, but I vote yes to approve.
Okay. Sean
Yes.
and Jake?
Yes.
And I'm a
Colby?
yes. Yes.
Great. Motion carries 11-0-0. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Robin. We're going to move into open public forum. We're doing 2 minutes on stakeholder comment. If you have a comment, please raise your hand about anything you'd like to discuss for 2 minutes. I see 2 hands raised. Okay. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, I just want to express my disappointment with this board, with how Lee Jamison is being treated. He was duly elected, by the stakeholders to hold this office. And when he was elected, You know, there was an extra term, an extra year added to the 2016 term. So it made his term 3 years instead of 2. So his, you know, and now, you know, at that time, it was a 10-year term limit. So he was in good standing. And now you guys passed the bylaws, which I, you know, okay, you have the right to do that for 8 years. But you did that after he was elected. And when he's halfway through his term, you use that to remove him from the board. I didn't see any due process with removing him from the board. It took the lawyer's intervention to get him back where he belongs. And you were about to replace him with somebody who I am curious, you know, I would like to know if they ran against him and lost. But if not, still, you were out to replace him tonight without any, the board didn't even get to discuss or whether or not to let him grandfather in or to continue, nothing. And you were not only going to replace him with somebody, you're going to put that person as secretary tonight. And I am disappointed in this board for doing any of that. And I just wanted to say that publicly, that I believe this board owes him an apology. And I believe that you owe him, he has the right to finish out his term. The stakeholders elected him to finish his term. And everything else is nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Our next hand up I saw was Casey. Hi, Casey. Hi, Casey. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Okay, thank you. My name is Karen Collier, and
Karen, may I interrupt? Colby, this is our board member with the update for
Right.
West Toluca Lake, which
Well,
I
let's
think.
see. We have to let her talk. Is this, Karen, is this an update for West Lake, or is this general public comment?
is this the time for me to talk? Is what I want to know.
If you're giving an update for West Toluca Lake, Karen, it will be in just a minute or two. This is general public comment.
All right, then I will unraise my hand and be back.
Thank you, Karen.
And Colby, Kevin just signed in. Can you please?
Yeah, let me find him. Okay, there he is.
I'm going to say that Kevin joined at 7:15.
Okay. He's now made panelist. Let me hold his hand.
Everybody.
Hey, Kevin.
And then next up, I see, hi, Kevin. I see, it says John and Michelle Hales. Hi, John and Michelle Hales. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, it'll be John Hales. Thank you very much. What I'd like to do is share an experience with you that we all of the neighborhood councils have been wrestling with for the past 6 months. And that's a hybrid situation. That is when you're having a meeting, like the Zoom meeting that you have, and you also have people in person. Want to share with you an experience. You must consider that you have somebody highly technical and sophisticated in that knows how to run that. There was a meeting recently this past week in regards to the Home Depot. And it was a town hall meeting. If you went on Zoom, all you saw was video and there was no recording, no voice. They didn't have anybody technical that was running that. So they lost the recording for the neighborhood council for their Zoom meeting. I just want to share that with you to make sure if you have somebody sophisticated and you're going to consider hybrid, that's awesome. If you don't have anybody sophisticated, please find somebody. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, John. Next, I see Catherine. Good evening, Catherine.
Hello. I just wanted to clarify that the person that would be selected this evening to join the board would be filling a seat that I vacated at the July meeting. It would not be a person that would be replacing Lee. It would be completely separate.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. I see Irene. Hi, Irene, you are unmuted. Hello, Irene. come back to, well, I guess she's the last one. Irene, please unmute. There's a little button on the corner of your screen.
What is the command if she's on her, well, oh, she must be on Zoom, not a phone.
She's on
Okay.
it. She's
Yeah,
on
she's unmuting. And Irene, can
There
you
she is.
please state your name?
Irene Birmingham.
Birmingham, thank you.
Irene, you have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question about catalytic converter etchings. What are the stats and positive results about getting our catalytic converters etched? The thieves seem to be able to take your converter out in about 2 minutes in the dark. So I don't know if they're really looking for etchings on there. And has that really helped? And if not, would we be able to add during the etchings, maybe add something like have available to us lock kits for your catalytic converter, someone there to install, be able to buy it. Also, steering wheel locks during the etching time. I believe some of these are done at the police station. Perhaps it could be a fundraiser. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching out too far. Or it's too difficult for that. But it was just a brainstorm that I had. I mean, if the catalytic converter etching isn't really deterring it and they cut it off and they can't sell it, meanwhile, it's already cut off your car. So, what good did the etching do? So that was just my input. Maybe there's a way to do a thing where we could get buy a lock kit and have it installed and make it a fundraiser. And there you go. That was my thought. I have a lot of others, but that's just that one. Thank you.
Thanks, Irene. This isn't really time for questions and answers. I know Officer Delbar is on the call right now. But the meeting doesn't structure that way unless Officer Delbar has a quick response. Or we can talk about this in public safety when he comes up.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Irene.
Okay.
I see. Unless Officer Delbar, are you here real quick to save Irene a little time in waiting? You might.
I wasn't going to talk about that in public safety, but I can sure address it right now if it's okay with you guys. So in short, the etching helps as far as locating the catalytic converters when it is removed from the vehicle. There are no stats as of right now as of how successful it is for locating it, but that is the purpose of etching it. We etch it with the VIN to locate it and match it with the car.
Thank you.
Thanks, Officer Delbar. I saw Nathaniel, Stakeholders Arena. Hi, Nathaniel. You have about 2 minutes. Nathaniel? I think you are unmuted. We just don't hear you. Okay, I guess Nathaniel doesn't have anything to say at this time. There'll be plenty of other times to talk, I'm sure. We're going to move on to city neighborhood news and announcements. Please raise your hand. I have a lot of people on the call, so if you raise your hand, if you're a part of this part of the meeting, please raise your hand. It makes it much easier.
I know Curtis is here and Steve Ferguson.
Oh, yes, of course.
Is here.
Yeah, let me find.
So
we'll bring Curtis in first.
We can start with Curtis first. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hi, Curtis. Are you still there?
Yeah, of course I'm still here.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, you guys. Officer Delbar here. Nice to see you guys again. Quick thing with the etching. I was speaking to our auto detectives about it, and they said that is such a success that we are planning to do one in the future. We don't have any dates yet, but we are planning to do it in the future. Maybe by closer to the end of the year. So we'll see. And then on to another thing is there was a incident on Valley Spring that happened. It hasn't been confirmed whether it's a trespass or a burglary. So we're still looking into it. I looked it up, and apparently a report is supposed to be completed. They're still trying to get connected with the police to complete that report on that property. As for some stats we have our rapes that are down 15%. Robberies are up 3%. Aggravated assaults are up 2%. Burglaries are up 12%. Grand theft autos are up 13%. burglars from motor vehicles are down 20%, and our thefts are up about 6%. So that being said, I think we're doing still a good job, especially with those burglars from motor vehicles are down 20%. That's a huge decrease. But again, I have to stipulate that lighting is key with these burglars to help stop those burglaries. And that's all I really wanted to say, unless it was okay for questions, depending on if we're pressed on time, Colby.
Yeah, we have time for questions. Nathaniel, I see you now. Let's see if we can get you to we can hear you this time. Nathaniel?
All right, can you hear me?
We hear you now, yes.
I'm sorry about that. I can still do my 2-minute.
Yes.
And can I also get your last name, Nathaniel?
I'm sorry?
Can I also get your last name?
It's gonna be Fox.
It's Nathaniel Fox, thank you.
Hi, Nathaniel, you can go ahead. We'll start you back at 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Jesus, thank you for letting us gather tonight. I pray for the wisdom for these leaders. I pray that they represent the people in their districts, and I pray that they find the wisdom to do what's right and stay strong and stay true to who they are. Lord, I pray against all wickedness that is trying to get on every level of politics, but I know that there are good people out there, Lord, and I pray that some of them are here tonight. I pray that they hear your call and do what's right. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Good evening. Thank you. Any other comments or ideas or for questions for Officer Delbar?
Colby, real quick, I had one more thing to add.
Oh, yeah.
So I was speaking to a couple officers today, and I know that some of the transits are sometimes in that area at Toluca Lake, and there was one incident today where it happened on Riverside where an individual was acting a little strange, to say it, and they managed to get into the street, and the two officers did handle it, and they got her an ambulance who took her to the hospital to get her the help that she needed. So I know that has been a few complaints that are happening as far as them wandering to the streets. So I'm glad that those two officers were able to take care of it safely, effectively. No one was hurt, and she got a ride to the hospital. Hopefully that she can help with that incident.
Officer Delbar, do you think this is the same person who's been on Toluca Estates Drive?
So I asked that same question, and no, it wasn't. It was a different person.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Let's see. I see Steve Ferguson.
Steve Ferguson. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Hi, Steve.
May I have a chance to ask a question of Curtis, or are we going to?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Curtis, thank you so much for coming out to our community meeting last night. And I think we'll get an update from one of our board members, but I just wanted to ask a quick clarification on the earlier question about catalytic converters. So if I understood you correctly, the etching helps to locate it, but as of now, there are no statistics to indicate whether it works as a preventative measure. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes and yes.
Excellent. That's all. Thank you.
You know, I always wondered if once the catalytic converter was etched, if there could be a sticker that would be placed on the windshield of the car, so a potential thief could see before the thief started, damaging the car, if he or she could see that the catalytic converter is marked. That might, because although it's marked, it's still going to cause the damage.
Good idea.
Has there been talk of doing that, Officer Delbar?
No, so no stickers or anything like that as of yet, but I absolutely will bring that up to our auto detectives and see if they'll be open to the idea, because it seems like a pretty good one.
Yeah, or even, yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to, actually, Casey, unless Casey, do you have a question for Officer Delbar?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go to Steve Ferguson.
Thank you so much, Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, President Jensen and Vice President Allen and members of the Neighborhood Council. It's great to be with you for night 2, or at least many of you. But anyway, I will keep my report brief, but ultimately want to keep members of the public informed as to what's happening with Assemblymember Nazarian and the 46th Assembly District. So first and foremost, want to just give an update on Cal Kids. The Assemblymember Nazarian since 2016 has been working on a program that is now called Cal Kids, which would guarantee college and career training savings accounts for every child born in California after July 2022. The governor, as a part of this year's budget, signed that into law and allocated over $1.9 billion to create this new program now statewide, which will ensure 3.4 million California children now have a college savings account throughout the state. So low-income Californians and those who are eligible for free and reduced lunches through schools, through public schools, will have additional dollars up to $1,500 placed in their account per year, depending on funding available through the legislature. But really a significant move and a significant step for California students, and one of the largest programs signed and funded in this last budget. So grateful to the Assembly member and for pushing that. We also, the Assembly member was also able to pass 12 pieces of legislation through both houses of the legislature. We are waiting for signatures or vetoes on all of those bills. We did receive word today that a laboratory testing bill was signed into law, but a lot of what we are focused on, some of the bigger bills that we are waiting for will likely come down to the last day or two. So AB 1278 would require doctors to disclose if they are receiving payments to recommend medical devices to individuals. That is a rather large bill that is important to the Assembly member and certainly pushing it, along with AB 1801, which would create a statewide holiday recognizing those communities who have suffered genocide in their cultural backgrounds. Last but not least, as I announced a little bit last night, the Assembly member has secured over $30 million in budget wins. This includes completing the extension of the Chandler Bike Path, so that unifying that bike path, $2 million to Toluca Lake Beautification Partners, also bringing the TUMO Technology Center to North Hollywood. And then we are also beginning to work with Council District 2 on a specific partnership with both LAPD and the San Fernando Valley Mental Health Center, again, to address those issues with the unhoused and those individuals who have mental health challenges. So this is a new pilot that we certainly look forward to working with Council District 2 throughout the remainder of our time in office, and then certainly after that point in what capacities as we can. So certainly available for any questions you may have. If there are any Caltrans related issues in particular that I can assist with, feel free to email me or reach out, and I'm happy to assist as always, and appreciate the opportunity to address you all tonight.
Thank you, Steve. I'm mostly excited about everything, but especially about the mental health angle on law enforcement. I think that's the way to go.
You bet.
Any comments or questions for Steve Ferguson? I see. Oh, Casey, you've had your hand raised. Is this related to something else?
Yes.
Question?
It's my own comment later on.
Okay. I'm going to lower your hand for now, if you don't mind. You can put it up later.
That's
when
fine.
It's appropriate.
Okay.
Jonathan.
Thank you, Steve. Before you leave, Steve, if you wouldn't mind going through it very quickly for the board, because it's real important. The area from Tahunga along Riverside Drive over to Vineland, which is maybe the pinnacle of distress being visited on the community there. You talked about replacing the fence with a fence that is made out of, I forget how they call it, gridiron or
wrought iron. Yes.
Wrought iron, 2 feet higher. So that's a vast distance of fencing that will be replaced. Tell us who's going to replace that fence. Would that be Caltrans or would that be city, since that's right between the two properties? The next question is the $2 million that goes to beautification partners. What is the process of oversight? How will that money be spent? Are there conditions? Who is playing the role on on doing that. Now, I think this matters to the board because what's going on in that area has no adhesive tape to the area. It's just simply with a confluence of 3 different properties, meaning the city, the state, and the county. At any point in time, what goes on there could move east or west or anywhere. So it matters. Could you share that at all? Can you tell us what's going on there?
Absolutely, happy to. Thank you, Councilmember Gregory. First things first, the money that we are looking to move and to kind of expedite when it comes to the property after Tahunga on Riverside Drive is called Clean California. It's Clean California funding. This was allocated to Caltrans to do modernization, hardscaping, and drought-tolerant plant conversion along California's highways. It was part of Governor Newsom's efforts to both green our highways, beautify our areas, but also manage a lot of the impacts related to encampments and so on and so forth. So what the Assembly member has been trying to do is to prioritize areas that have recurring issues of continuously being broken into, continuously having encampment issues, litter issues, things like that. So this is one of the parcels that we are certainly looking to try and expedite that. Naturally, so it is the mission of the legislation to visit as many parcels, Caltrans property parcels, modernize the fencing over the next 4 to 5 years. But it is our hope that before leaving office, we can at least get minor assurances that we can move that those project dates specifically for this area, which is more impacted than most. And again, our Assembly district covers 76 freeway entrances and exits. And so I can objectively tell you this is an area that is disproportionately impacted. So we are doing our best to escalate that. And again, the improvements look like hardscape on the ground. They also, again, will raise fence heights 2 feet, and then usually looking at wrought iron. If wrought iron is not aesthetically pleasing, or if it provides, too much of a disruption to the neighborhood, they will look at other forms, but it is the least likely to be cut through and the least likely to have recurring issues. So that's on that front. The dollars and oversight on the $2 million budget allocation for Toluca Lake Beautification Partners will work through the second council district. So we will be working with the council office and Toluca Lake Beautification Partners together which several project areas have already been identified. But again, we will work through the council office and in partnership with the foundation to ensure adequate oversight and the appropriate spending of taxpayer dollars. But we are looking forward to, again, these dollars don't just address the needs of Toluca Lake, and Toluca Lake is an amazing community that has plenty of needs, and West Toluca Lake as well. But the project area extends all the way up to Burbank Boulevard. So really we're looking at potentially reaching out to, obviously the North Hollywood neighborhood councils, the multiple councils that represent North Hollywood, along with Valley Village and a number of areas that could be impacted. So, but again, always here as a resource, and we'll continue to provide information should there be additional questions.
Excuse me, really quick, Arthur joined the meeting. Colby, can you please add him so he can become a panelist? Thank you. I'm going to announce that Colby is joining the meeting at 7:36 p.m.
Arthur's joining the meeting.
I'm sorry, Arthur. Thank you.
Steve?
Yes, sir.
If you wouldn't mind, the $2 million that's going to beautification partners, is there a mandate for the money? In other words, does it have to be near the freeways? Or how is it defined? In plain English, what is the money for?
So the money is for beautification projects. There was an initial proposal that was submitted as a part of this that included some project areas, but it is for general beautification at this time. So and again, it will be administered through the council office, Council District 2.
Thanks.
I see Sean has his hand raised. Thanks, Sean, for being so patient.
No worries. Hey, Steve. Good to hear you again. I just want to ask a quick question on the fencing. You said it's going 2 additional feet. Is that going from 6 to 8 feet?
I believe it is supposed to be 7 to 9 feet, but I will clarify that. I believe that the standard was 7 to 9 feet, but I will circle back with clarity on that just to make sure. It really also depends on the grade that the fence is on, et cetera. So they are looking to definitely extend fence heights universally. But if, for instance, it's up on a hill, things like that, they may reduce the size of the fencing. That's at least what I've been told in briefings from Caltrans, but I will circle back to get you a hard number on that one. And thanks for the question.
Thank you.
And Tess Taylor. Hi, Tess.
Hi, Steve, you were terrific last night at our community meeting as usual. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And regarding the $2 million grant for beautification, would it be possible to see a copy of that proposal, the entire board, or you can send it to me and I'll forward it?
That shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. So let me check with our assembly staff just to make sure that that's fine. But I don't imagine that would be a challenge, and
Okay.
I will make sure to send it to both you and to President Jensen for distribution to the council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. It was great seeing you last night in person again. It's always wonderful, and I'm glad you're delivering good news and everything like that. Thank you for answering all the questions this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Great seeing you all again.
Thank you, Steve. Colby, we have Will
Yes.
Steele.
Yes, yes, we have Will Steele from our county supervisor's office. Hi, Will. Oops, where are you? I'll have a talk.
Yes, hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we do. Thanks, Will. Thanks for being so patient.
Yes, no problem. Thank you guys for having me here tonight. So just a few updates for you guys. So first, wanted to just go over some of the motions that were passed during the board meeting last week. So Supervisor Barger introduced a motion that commits LA County to ending our eviction moratorium. So more than 30 months has passed since its implementation, and Los Angeles County is the only jurisdiction nationwide with eviction protections for non-payment of rent still in effect. The motion will instruct our county departments to prepare a strategy to phase out these emergency tenant protections. And then another motion that Supervisor Barger co-authored was to help address RVs in the county. So the motion will seek to create a 36-month pilot RV program. Importantly, the motion seeks to do a few things. It will establish an RV restoration grant program for RVs that can be bought up to DMV compliance. It will execute a contract to support the removal and dismantling of at least 900 impounded RVs in accordance with established county protocol for people living in recreational vehicles and abandoned RVs. And lastly, establishes incentives for RV residents to transition into more permanent housing. And then lastly, last week, the supervisor welcomed back the Super Scoopers to Los Angeles County from Quebec to join our LA County Fire Department to help fight fires in the county. So that was the only updates I had for you guys today. Appreciate your time, and I'll do my best to answer any questions.
I might have missed it. What was the projected cost of the RV project?
I'm actually not totally sure. So Jason, who is the field deputy for your area, might have a better answer, and I can ask him and have him let you know, but I'm not sure about the exact numbers. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. It's not imperative. I'm just curious. What it sounds expensive.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Steele? I see Tess Taylor, and then we'll go to John.
Will, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you. We're delighted that Supervisor Catherine Barger will be joining our neighborhood cleanup on October 8th. And my question for you is, what is your, who is your direct report? Are you a counterpart of Jason Marucas? Does he report to you? Do you report to him? Are you a field representative as well? Just curious.
Yeah, so I'm actually working in the downtown office.
Okay.
Jason wasn't able to make it here tonight. It's usually going to be Jason, but he just wanted me to give you guys some updates. So obviously, if you have questions about your particular area, I might be a little misguided, but I'll do my best to answer the best I can.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Jonathan.
Mr. Steele, thank you for coming here, and please thank Supervisor Barger for the work that she's doing, because much of what I'm trying to do on this neighborhood council aligns, not because I choose it to, but because Supervisor Barger's positioning on a lot of issues that affect Los Angelinos is like mine. For example, eliminating this state of eviction, a state of emergency in Los Angeles. Many people don't realize that this interferes with contractual enforcement on contractual, for example, proposals. It interferes with more than people can imagine, and it completely undermines, if you want to call it in plain English, a sense of free market. So it really is interfering with a lot of things, and it's very, very mysterious that it can even be, it can continue despite what's happening in the rest of the nation. It makes us a ridiculous island. And thank you for make sure Supervisor Barger knows that she's helping us when she's standing alone in many cases in the county governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate the kind words, and I'll definitely let her know.
And thank you, Will. I don't see any other hands raised, and so we can release you. And again, thank you so much for your information, and we look forward to hearing from you and of course, Jason, anytime in the future. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, moving right along. We're moving now into executive committee under committee reports. And this is we're going to read motion B.
Right. It's an at-large seat nomination to replace Catherine Hatton's vacancy. So motion B, the board.
Excuse me, Colby. I think we have an update from Erica and from West Toluca Lake Residents Association.
Okay, I didn't see the hand raised. Okay.
Okay. Well,
yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. I didn't see a hand raised.
Well, she had her hand raised, then she took it down. So.
Oh,
all right, no big deal. No big deal. Everyone calm down.
And also, I see Mark Stevenson as well. So.
Okay. All right.
And
actually, I'm gonna call on Erica real quick. She might have something else. Hi, Erica.
Good evening. I hope you all enjoyed your time away from the NC system for a bit, but I'll start by sharing a few announcements that were shared on our monthly profile the first week of this month. The first one being CivicU 1.0. For those of you who don't know what CivicU 1.0 is, this is something that our department started with the Pat Brown Institute at Cal State LA back in 2015, and we've had over 500 individuals complete and graduate from the program. This is really an opportunity to provide tools to neighborhood councils who need to understand the city government and how to influence policy at City Hall. So we highly encourage those board members who have not attended these sessions in the past or are new to the system. These sessions are going to take place over 3 Thursdays throughout October. That's going to be October 6th, October 13th, October 27th. We did ask that NCs agendaize this item so that way you all can appoint board members who are interested. I don't see it on the agenda tonight, so if you are interested, please feel free to reach out to Kobe for him to let me know what four board members would like to participate. That's just one thing I wanted to mention. The next thing is going to be in regards to the NC marketing profile. So our department is working to create more awareness and engagement throughout the city of Los Angeles, and we're inviting NCs to complete a very brief Google form. Just share some general information about your NCs so that way we can help augment your marketing efforts. So I'll be sure to share that in my follow-up email. The next thing that I want to just briefly mention is in regards to an update to the Greater Toluca Lake letter to Gascon. If you recall, this is something that the board saw a few months ago, and recently Jonathan brought it up to my attention again, and I will say that a few updates that I received. Well, first, before I get into the update, there was a question about what citation led the guidance from NCAD, and so I'll show that according to the Los Angeles City Charter, specifically Section 900 and Section 254, those sections share the limitation of powers for NCs, noting that it's an advisory role, and thus the City Council with the power to establish the city's official position. So I encourage you all, for those of you who did have questions about what exactly was leading this guidance, I strongly encourage you to review those sections. Next, I will also share that it was noted that the updated drafted letter could be seen in two parts. So the first part was the opinion of the bullet points, and then the second being the invite for Gascon to attend the meeting. So the invite portion of the letter can be sent directly to Gascon. Politically, it would also be more effective if the invite is set separately from the opinions. You know, he may not want to accept an invite where he's going to be targeted or possibly have a negative experience. So that's one approach. The second suggestion is being that you all can share your opinions of Gascon's policy, but it may be better to share those opinions if he does accept to attend a meeting. I heard that he recently attended another neighborhood council meeting to talk about his policies, so it's very likely that he would attend a Greater Toluca Lakes. And so if he does attend, that you all still have the option to share your opinions with a follow-up letter. So that's just the updates on that. And then lastly, I will just end my report by reminding you all of the conflict of interest statement. So as a reminder, any board member, committee member, including stakeholder committee members who may have a conflict of interest and has not consulted with the office of the city attorney should move to have the matter tabled until the next meeting so that the board member has an opportunity to consult with the city attorney's office. If the board declines to table the matter, the board member may want to consider recusal prior to the matter being discussed. If choosing to recuse, the board member should state for the record all reasons for the recusal and that they will be leaving the meeting during the discussion and voting. Because recusal may not always be sufficient, tabling of the matter at issue is always preferred to allow time for the board member to consult with the city attorney's office. So again, if you're going to recuse, please turn off your camera and mute yourselves. And the last thing that I will mention is that when we get to item number 4, I can share a few more remarks in addition to whatever Kobe will be sharing. So that's all that I have for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
Colby, we also have Esme.
Yes, I just want to make sure there are any comments or questions for Erica before we moved off, Erica. Okay, I'm sorry, Robin, what'd you say?
Esme from the LAUSD is going to be speaking tonight. Mayor's.
Okay. Okay. I see Brandon.
But her hand is not raised, but I know we got the email saying she would be here tonight.
Oh, I see it down here. Okay.
Esme, if you want to raise your hand. There we go.
Okay.
All right. I have a question for Erica before we move along.
Hi, just quick update of the board members.
Actually, sorry, we have to finish up the, sorry.
Oh, no, I just wanted to let you know that the board president is wrapping up another neighborhood council meeting, so she'll be here like in 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. Just raise your hand.
We might go back to her. Okay. Jonathan, your question for Erica?
Erica, are you still there?
Yeah, I think she's still, yeah, she's here.
Okay, Erica, the reason I wanted to speak is because I had sent you that email reminding you that we're expecting some written objection, precise written objections to what we proposed in behalf of stakeholders' interests. There are two, at this point, a minimum of 2 other neighborhood councils. I think that this is an extraordinary interference, but it's also an extraordinary waste of taxpayer money when a city attorney is commenting on whether or not we're inviting somebody to come to a neighborhood council to speak, like Gascon or what. It's just ridiculous to be talking about whether we're inviting somebody or not, but that's what you're doing. In any case, I think that it deserves a written commentary. If you want to refuse something, if you want to object to something so important as a communication to City Hall from stakeholders through the neighborhood council, that deserves a written response from the city attorney, not something read from you where I have to sit and transcribe it for other people to read it. So I think it's an underserving of the interest not to come with a piece of paper and give it to the president here so it can be reviewed. If you'd like to withdraw the objection, that solves the problem. But I think that this neighborhood council, rather than dance in circles with this type of reaction from Dunn or whatever department this is city attorney, whoever is doing this, I think if we just copy a letter from either Arleta Neighborhood Council or at this point Studio City Neighborhood Council and give it word for word, I think it would represent the same sentiments of our stakeholders and not entail all of this wasted time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. And we can take this offline too. And this might be a good topic for discussion offline. Any comments? Any more comments for Erica?
Okay, I see Brandon Pender raised his hand.
Yeah, he's a different. Yeah, he's a different news announcements.
Yep.
I just wanted to put any more public comments for Erica. I don't think so. All right, Brandon, our budget advocate.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. My name is Brandon Pender. I'm your budget advocate for the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council and 3 or 4 others in the same region number 4. You can also, if you're not aware of our website, we have a website. There's budgetadvocates.org, budgetadvocates.org, and there you can go and see a lot of our activities, our videos, our videos of our town hall meetings, our budget day, which was a few months ago, and also our white paper, our current white paper, which we put out on an annual basis, and any other updates and stuff. And you can also get links to our 2 meetings that we have twice a month. The first Monday of the month at 7 p.m. and the third Saturday of the month, unless something is coming up that has a conflict with it. We don't normally have it on the third Saturday. And that's normally at 9 or 9:30 a.m. in the morning. If you need to contact me for now until I get another email, a budget advocate email address, you can send anything to brandonpender@yahoo.com. That's BRANDON PEN, P as in Paul, ENDER @yahoo.com. And if you can put on the subject matter neighborhood council budget advocates or your neighborhood council, that way I'll hopefully see it and I can return your email. I don't have that much to tell you today because we've been doing a lot of training, and also I was told you have a really full schedule. So just to get real brief. We've been doing a lot of our training, mostly because we have a lot of brand new budget advocates that have been elected from the last term, and others that were elected towards the end of the previous term, and they never had the training before. So we've been doing that for our last 2 meetings, and also we've been doing educational training with Jacob Wexler, who is with the CAO's office, and we're doing a lot of he's updating us on a lot of procedures and financial particulars with the city. So we probably are not going to have too much. Maybe next month I'll have more interesting things from our next meetings. But we're going to start putting together our committees for our white paper preparation. So if anyone's there who's interested in serving on a committee, you can contact the budget advocates through our website and express your desire to be a part of a committee. You don't have to be a budget advocate. You don't have to be a budget rep. Just a stakeholder or a member of a neighborhood council to serve on a committee. And that's also sometimes there have been people who are just stakeholders who end up as chair of a certain particular committee. So that's how open we are about that. That you get a chance to do everything other than vote. Only the budget advocates can vote on our panel line item agenda. And so I hope to see you guys involved in that, especially because I do want to find out what the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council thinks that we should be doing with our budget. And I want some feedback. I really do. That's why I gave you my email address. I really want to do that because I've been in past years when I would bring the budget to Greater Toluca Lake. A lot of times, they liked what was in it, but certain things weren't addressed that they thought should have been addressed. And we weren't able to address a lot of that stuff because it didn't get a lot of traction. So I've been pushing for that. So if you can give me stuff ahead of time, and also your attendance there too, because you can also ask questions while you're in our meeting. You can't ask questions in our meeting. Now that way, things can be addressed that affect your community in particular. So, and at that point, I'll surrender the microphone, and thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you, Brandon. Any questions or comments for Brandon? Tess, I know you were interested, or I think you're moving forward with. I think you're moving forward with being a rep, and then maybe an advocate.
Yes, I've been attending their meetings, but I have no updates at this time.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much. We're gonna move.
It hasn't raised their hand, so maybe she's still on
I know.
the meeting.
I'm gonna go. Okay. Casey's been waiting a little longer. I mean, I believe it's Karen Collier.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I get your name? Can you state your name?
My name is Karen Collier.
Okay, thank you. And who are you representing?
I am a board member of the West Toluca Lake Residents Association.
She'll be representing West Toluca Lake, so we'll write her in where it says TBD.
Okay, great.
And I would just like to thank you to, listen to what I have to say tonight. I actually am one of the founding members of this association for over 25 years. And we were able to work with the Community Redevelopment Agency and get Little Vineland cleaned up and plants put in there, so trash wasn't just put there. We have worked really hard to keep our little 4 blocks, which Nancy Reeves and Rob Benavides has said, you guys are the greatest 4 blocks of the city. We had no crime. We were great. We love you guys. And we took care of ourselves. We took care of our little 4 blocks. We have continued to have community meetings, which last night we just had one, and there was, 60, 70 people there last night. We had our senior lead officer there. We had people from Nazarian's office, from Kokorian's office there to talk to us and, keep us informed of what's going on, because this is what we need. What we're not getting is the help, especially along Riverside Drive. We were told that last night, because of the lack of, I don't know what you want to call it, the lack of equipment, that they can't fix the lighting. So everything's dark. And this is where the homeless like to house themselves, because it's dark. And so it's like, okay, it's dark. We've got an entire, seriously, underneath the overpass of, the 134, the 101, they've taken over the entire block. And from what I understood from last night, we're supposed to get 3 feet so we can walk past. Well, these people are into the street, and it's actually very dangerous, because if you come around that corner, you could take somebody out if they're out on their bike or whatever they decide to do. So anyway, I would really appreciate if you guys could help us fix this problem. We do once a month, we do cleanup for trash. We're trying to keep our neighborhood as clean as we can. And once a month we go out there and we do that. And Catherine Barger is coming this next month, and she is going to help us clean up what we can do. So I just ask, please, we've been the 4 blocks of this city that have been so clean and so quiet, and no crime. And we can't do it ourselves anymore. We're trying, we keep doing it, but we just can't do it anymore. We need the city to seriously look at our situation and say, okay, we're going to help you, because we're actually the entryway into Toluca Lake. We used to be North Hollywood. And we decided years ago when we were able to change our name, we decided to be West Toluca Lake because we are the entryway into Toluca Lake. And it's horrible what we've got going on. And we try, we're doing our best, but we need the city to really step up and help us. So if you can do that, if you could help us, because we want to be the entryway into Toluca Lake. And, yes, we're 4 blocks. We're 4 city blocks. But, we're doing our best, but we need your help. So anything you can do to help us, I and the board really appreciate it. So
thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. I see a hand raised. Kelly, do you have a comment regarding Karen's reports?
Hi, sorry.
Hi, Kelly.
No, I'm here for the elected official updates. I'm your school board member from LAUSD.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, I see your hand raised, so you can please go ahead.
Oh, should I start right now, or do you want?
I think we have a question for Karen before we get.
I didn't see any other. I didn't see a question for
Jonathan
Karen.
has his hand raised. Jonathan has his hand up.
Hold on.
Aaron, thank you very much for coming and talking about what's going on in Toluca Lake. I think this is one of the first times we've heard that sort of the difficulty faced by individual homeowners as well as their history. Because Karen, believe it or not, I think she was there when I first bought my house in 1985, or she came very shortly after this. So I remember from years and years, she's a very, very stable voice from the community. What I would recommend that all board members understand is that is the forefront of what's going on over there. It's not because it's West Toluca Lake or it's because it's a zip code, but it's because of the confluence of the city, the state, and the different zones that people are migrating to and from. Now, what I want you all to recognize is if you looked at what was going on in city council on September 16th, it was much of what took place at the West Toluca Lake Residents Association meeting. There's a complete flip occurring on people speaking their minds about what's going on. They're victimized by people who are victims by a situation that is just going completely berserk. And people are speaking out about it. Now, homeowners they're not interested in being called bad people because they don't accept the conditions that they're being asked to live in and pay for. And that's exactly what happened in the West Toluca Lake. I recommend people take a look at the recordings of the city council meeting, especially the after comments, the closing comments, where board members are actually talking about the futility of city policy regarding people who are unsheltered, just moving from council district to council district without any solutions in place, without any rehab for drug addiction, the fentanyl crisis just penetrating the school systems now, and a pipeline through that area along the freeway known as unsheltered people. In any case, thank you, Karen, for coming here and talking about this. That's exactly what we're all trying to do, is act as a community. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. And, we used to be a very safe community, but with the homeless walking through our neighborhoods, I personally have had my car opened up and let's see what I can get out of the glove box and the ashtray of the change and stuff. It never used to be this way. And it's daily. It's daily happening. So whatever you can help us with, I would so appreciate it, because I've lived here 40 years. And, having to put cameras out on my front lawn, I never, ever would have thought to do that. But I have to do that now because of what we have going on. So I appreciate you listening to me. And I really hope that you can help West Toluca Lake out. Thank you.
This test hand raised, and I just want to remind everyone we're not even a third of the way through the meeting, and we want to keep comments at 2 minutes if we can keep that at 2 minutes.
I'll make it quick. So thank you so much for being here, Karen, and providing that update. It's really valuable to hear a different voice from this area. And to be, I think, more precise, what we heard from Tiffany Zatunian at our community meeting last night is that the lighting on Vineland at the Vineland underpass cannot be fixed because the Bureau of Street Lighting does not have the parts to fix them anymore. They are either no longer made or obsolete. So we're left with this weird conundrum. How is this going to be fixed? So we await an answer from Tiffany Zatunian in Council District 2, a contact person at the Bureau of Street Lighting, in order to get clarity on that and what's next, because it can't just be left as is. And we're also waiting for an update from the Department of Building and Safety Inspector Dwayne Johnson, who we appreciate citing the abandoned house on Blick Street. And there's movement happening there thanks to Tiffany Zatunian. We've just gotten it cleaned up. So we do appreciate the updates, Karen. Thank you very much. And thank you for, thanks for coming here tonight and giving this report.
Thank you for you guys. Thank you. I
appreciate Kevin D. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, I'll make it quick. Casey, thanks for talking. I drove by there today around that bend and thought the same thing with the stuff in the street and everything. You know, it's a sad situation, and it's just terrible that it's become like that. I'm just curious if anybody can answer this question, but how were they able to clean out the overpasses over by like where McDonald's is over there on Lancashire, and then for some reason they've kind of migrated over to that area? Is it because is it county land over there? I know in between the freeways, that's county land, and that's a Caltrans thing. It just seems very complicated and it seems like our representatives kind of play a blame game as to who's responsible for getting that cleaned up. That's it.
And this is the problem that we're dealing with. The city will come out, they'll come out and clean the street, they'll do their wash, and all the people do is they move to the side, and once the city is done doing their thing, they just all come back. So there has to be some solution to this, and I'm hoping that you can help us.
All right, I have one more comment, and then we are moving on, no matter what. Hi, John.
Thank you. Thank you. It'll be quick. With the overpasses, when these people supposedly move out, we discovered over the past 2 weeks, under every single overpass, there is a door that accesses the electrical and the drainage systems on the overpass. Guess what? These people have found that they can move in there and close it behind them. And when they come to clean up, they clean up and leave. Guess what? They come out like an abandoned apartment house from that overpass. So please take a look at that. That trap door under every single overpass, they've discovered there's a place to hide. Thank you.
Thanks, John. We're going to move on to Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Sorry, I had to cut you off earlier.
No worries at all. Thank you all so much for the time. It's good to be with you at Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kelly Gonez, and I have the honor of serving as your school board member for the East San Fernando Valley District 6. I also currently serve as board president. And as your board member, my priority is ensuring that all of our schools here in the Valley have the necessary resources, funding, and support to provide our kids with the best possible educational experience. And here today to just share some updates and information on upcoming opportunities. First, my resolution, Green Schools for All, equitable funding and expansion of green spaces across district campuses, will be heard at our next meeting on Tuesday, September 27th. We know that the communities most likely to be affected by climate change and extreme heat are especially those that we serve here in the East San Fernando Valley, where our students are less likely to have access to green spaces, both at school and in our neighborhoods. If approved by the board next Tuesday, this resolution will expand the district's greening programs and commit the district to greening all of our campuses to a minimum standard by 2032, so in the next 10 years. And the priority will be given to communities most experiencing extreme heat, as well as our elementary campuses, as our youngest students tend to have the playgrounds with the most asphalt. If this issue is important to you, we'd love to enlist your support as we go before the board next week. So Esme or my team will share our contact information and follow up with an email with more details as well. I also wanted to share 2 upcoming opportunities for teachers, students, and families. First is our BD6 sponsored field trip program. Last year, in conversations with some of our English language learners and newcomer students in BD6, I heard about, very few opportunities that they had to engage in extracurricular and enrichment activities. We know that field trips are really important to a student's academic and personal development. So this program is designed to help more of our English language learner students go on their next educational adventure. So this opportunity is open to our BD6 teachers to apply to our office and for us to cover a field trip for them and their class. Lastly, I'm really excited to announce that I have partnered with the Discovery Cube Los Angeles Museum right there at the Hanson Dam to host a free LAUSD Family Day next month on Saturday, October 8th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. All of our BD6 families are eligible for free admission on this day once you RSVP online. So that will include free admission to the museum, as well as access to multiple workshops, and it's open to the whole family, very youngest to our high school age students. There will be a career workshop for students interested in pursuing careers in science, technology, engineering, or math, as well as a financial literacy workshop by Bank of America. So you can visit tinyurl.com/free-family-day to RSVP, and Esme will also send that link. So thank you so much. Hope we can see lots of our Toluca Lake families at the Discovery Cube next month, and happy to answer questions if time allows.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions for Kelly? Please raise your hand. I don't see any. Mark, I think you're raising your hand for another reason. Well, thank you, Kelly, for your report. We're big supporters of LAUSD. We love giving NPG grants to our local schools, and it's always great to hear some feedback. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I saw Mark had his hand raised a moment ago for
Mark
reports. I'll call on him.
Stevenson.
Yes, Mark Stevenson. Oh, wait, hold on. Lee has his hand raised. Lee, is this about Kelly? Lee, you have to unmute.
There. Sorry about that. I have IC tomorrow in the morning, so I won't be able to continue the meeting tonight.
Okay. All right,
Are you leaving the meeting, Lee?
Affirmative. I have to go to bed because I have 6 a.m. surgery.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I would take care.
At 8:15, Lee is leaving the meeting. Let me make note of that. Thank you.
Take
care, Lee. Good night, Steve. Good night.
Good luck.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
I'm going to call upon Mark Stevenson from Harmony Church. Hi, Mark.
Okay.
Thank you for waiting. It's been a busier night than usual. Let me mute Lee. Where is Lee? Someone else can mute him. Hold on, I'm trying to find him. Where are you, Lee? There we are. Nope. There we go. Okay. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Great. So, hi, everyone. Pastor Mark Stevenson with Harmony Toluca Lake, and I have the great pleasure of having met many of you. I look forward to meeting Sean and Jake and Kevin at some other point whenever we can all get together. For those that know, Harmony Toluca Lake loves to be able to work with the community. We are a passionate stakeholder. We have held community gatherings there for the whole of Toluca Lake. We've held the homeless count, and we are the polling place for the next election for the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. I just wanted to give you a quick update, and also I serve on Plum, which is an honor. So I just wanted to give you a couple updates as we continue to work with the community and getting past the pandemic. Hallelujah. So we are going to have the blessing of the animals, which is for the community, and that's on Sunday, October the 2nd at 11:30. So that'll be outside of the church. And so last year I was able to bless 30 animals. And so I hope to do that again. It is a blessing. But we're also doing an outreach effort for donated goods for a local organization called Doghouse Bully Crew Rescue. And so we're trying to do our effort to help them with grain-free dog food, towels, food, water bowls, treats, toys, etc. I also wanted to let you know that we're doing a ballot initiative workshop on Sunday, October the 9th at 11:30 as well over at the campus. Something important that is we're doing on Sunday, October the 16th is working with the North Hollywood Interfaith Food Pantry. And there is a dire need for them in regards to the paper and plastic bags. They need paper and plastic bags. So if you have any, if you know any, just drop them off over at the church. I'm glad to store them there so that we can hand those over. We'll be preparing sack lunches on that day as well for the NoHo Interfaith Food Pantry. And we're going to be doing something in Halloween. Halloween is a big deal for Toluca Lake, and we look forward to, again, connecting and doing our part. Anytime that we can assist with the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council, it is an honor, a pleasure. Always glad to make that connection. And any way that we can help, we're there. Good to see all of you.
Good to see you too, Mark. And again, thank you so much for your support of our little neighborhood council here. And I always, I'm from a New England town, and it reminds me when I go into your church and vote and do those activities, it reminds me of being back east. It's very warm and warm feeling. It's a great sense of community you provide. Thank you. Any question? I Mark. Yes.
No, that's it for me.
Okay. I'm calling upon questions. Any questions or comments for?
Should we move on to executive committee?
Yes, we pretty much have to right at this point.
Yeah.
Executive committee. We have now the motion B. Robin, I'll go ahead and read it. Motion B. The board hereby elects Louis Salashi as at-large board seat of Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. Do I have a first on this?
Robin.
I saw Robin. And a second?
Tess, seconds.
Tess
Yes.
Taylor. Opens up for discussion. Please raise your hand for discussion. I saw Ren first.
Yeah, could we get a little background on this person?
Yes. It might be valuable. Thanks for reminding me. I'm going to read his statement. So he is flying right now to his sister's wedding in Italy. He is on an airplane, probably over the Atlantic Ocean, flying to Italy, and was unable. However, Rob and I saw him last night at Tess's amazing and very well organized meeting. And I'll go ahead and read his statement, and then we can open up for a little more discussion after that. This is from Louis. I am an active member of the Greater Toluca Lake community for 7 years, working to make improvements to our community. As a property manager professionally, I approach the upkeep of my community the same way, reporting opportunities to the city and following up to ensure we see results. I am an organizer at heart and look for creative ways to solve our issues while bringing people together. I have a strong point of view, but pride myself on building consensus and truly appreciate different points of view. I hope you'll consider me to serve. That's his statement. I found him to be a very intelligent, hardworking a person who's already given a lot to the community and wants to serve even more. Robin, I know you know him probably better than I do.
Colby and I met with him last week. I also saw him again last night at the West Toluca Lake event that Tess held yesterday. I got to speak with him. He seems to have a really good head on his shoulders. He seems to really be very passionate about our community. The one thing that I liked about him was that he would, whatever the temperature in the room is, so as far as what the community wants, it really was in his best interest to vote in the direction that the community is speaking. So he felt passionate about, really listening to the community before making a vote.
Also, he will be secretary. He wants to be secretary. He wants to take over the role of secretary.
We don't have to pay someone to be the secretary, which is very good news for us.
All right, so Jonathan, yes.
I'll simply add, I believe Lewis is coherent, literate, hardworking, and he's dedicated to the community. I know him more on paper, which speaks a great deal for the role of a secretary, much more than I know him in face. I've only met him 2 times face to face. Both times he's a very friendly, nice person. I highly recommend him. Thank you.
And Tess.
He's been extremely helpful in working on some difficult, complicated, bureaucratic, Gordian knot type problems related to lighting, for example, all along Riverside Drive. And he's actually been active in trying to get, I know that the lighting was out in the business district of Toluca Lake, all the way to through that no man's land area and bordering with Toluca Lake. And so I get CC'd on a lot of those emails, and I appreciate the way he handles it, because he pushes forward relentlessly and diplomatically. And I think that is worth much. So he'll get my vote.
Kevin.
Oops, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Only thing I would say, I take everybody's word for it, I suppose, but it'd be nice. I know he's on a plane, but to actually hear, see him and hear him, and it just feels weird to vote on somebody, and some of us haven't met him or even seen him on the meeting, I guess.
Yeah, it is hard now. The alternative would be, which I don't want to do, and I think a lot of board members don't want to do, is to wait till next month when he's back. However, that will put an extra burden on the rest of the board to take up this lack of a secretary in the next few weeks. So that's why he has a statement here, and I hope he can just go along with it's your vote, but with how our interpretation of him. But I understand, but it was pretty much impossible for him to attend this meeting. Hi, Matt.
Yeah. Hi. Unfortunately, I know that there's work, and I love that he wants to be secretary, but since I haven't met him and really haven't had a chance to talk to him, I'm just going to abstain on this vote.
Okay.
And for the record,
you can pass your abstention at the time of the vote. I'm going to go to the stakeholders.
Hang on real quick, Colby. You, Robin, Tess, and Jonathan all met this person, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I've met him twice.
Okay, thank you.
And I've seen his name come up many times. I believe he does a volunteer for cleanups. I've seen him attend our meetings. So I have a list here of people who attend our meetings. He's very active in the community. Hi, Arthur.
I have a question for Tess. Is this the gentleman that you coordinate with, who lives on the other side of Riverside on various city issues?
You're muted.
Sorry. He's the president of a homeowners association and very active in advocating for those residents. And yes.
Okay.
And this is also coincidentally the person that was standing right next to you last night, Robin, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
He had a red shirt on. He had a red shirt on.
Yes,
red polo shirt.
I actually met him at the last West Toluca Lake Homeowners Association meeting. Really nice guy.
He has attended our meeting in the past, and he also, I think on the last go round, he put his name in for running. So I think this is his second time applying. I think. Am I right?
Yes, he did apply before, and also I believe he was one of the 9 when Jonathan and Shannon were brought on, he was someone I was very, very interested in. Also, he's very intelligent and professional. He manages the Westfield Century City Mall. He's the manager of that mall. If you're familiar with that extremely large scale mall, he's the property manager of that Westfield Mall. So he is professional, intelligent, and detail oriented, and he's willing to be secretary, which is incredible. So,
and he's a good listener.
Hi, Jonathan. Real quick, do you have something to add?
One more thing I might add that might help out the people who've never met him is my understanding, having seen so much of his work on paper, is his dedication that the community be clean and safe. That's what I really like about him. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone who runs the Westfield Mall shopping center certainly is used to keeping things clean and safe. I'll say that. It's a very complicated organization that he is in charge of. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised from the public nor from board members. So I say, Robin, we bring this to a vote.
Okay, motion B, the board hereby elects Louis Solis as at-large board seat of Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. Robin, I'm a yes. Arthur?
Yes.
Shannon? Shannon, you're muted.
Okay. Yes.
Great. Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt, you're going to abstain?
Yep.
Okay. Lee is excused. Susanna is excused. Jonathan?
Yes.
Tess?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes.
Okay, let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 yeses. And
one abstention. Yeah.
And so 11, 1, 0. Welcome, Louis, wherever you are in Italy.
Yes, we're international now.
Yeah.
We're good. Now we're going to move on.
Did want to be on this call, and we insisted that he not do that because it was such a big time. It would be like 3 a.m. or whatever time it was. So congratulations.
He might be in an airport somewhere. I don't know where he would be.
All right. Motion C. The board hereby elects Jake Tiddick as youth board seat of the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. Do I have a first?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan. Do I have a second?
Sean.
Sean, did I hear Sean?
Yeah.
John. Oh,
Okay,
Sean.
Sean. Yep. All right. Discussion on the matter.
Maybe Jake would like to have a few words or read a statement.
Yes, Jake. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Thank you for considering me for a second term. It would be quite the honor to serve a second term for the second year, and I hope to honestly do more for the board because I don't know. I kind of really didn't do as much as I wanted last year. I did a couple things, but I wish to do more this year.
Awesome.
I know it's a lot. You're in this is a tough part of your life. You have so much going on, but we definitely appreciate your contributions. Any questions from the board for Jake? I see Tess, and then I'll see Matt.
Yeah, Jake, I'd like to hear more from you. You're our demographic. We need kids your age. Don't be shy. Step up. Yep. Take on an issue. Nobody's going to bite your head off, and I'd like to see more from you too. So I'm sure you're capable of it, and it's nice of you to be here. So I'm going to vote for you, but I want to see more from you as well. Okay.
Okay, Matt Kamen.
Hey, Jake, I'm very excited for you to stay on, and I want you to know that I'm going to bother you because I could use your help on social media.
Ready for it.
I'm totally going to bother you, so get ready for that.
And then Fred Berry.
And that goes for me too. And I believe we are fellow Notre Dame alums. Well, I'm an alum, you're a future alum. So go Knights. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised, so we're going to bring this to a vote. Motion C, the board hereby elects Jake Chittick as youth board seat of the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council.
All right, Robin, I'm a yes. Arthur?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Yes.
Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Lee is excused. Susanna is excused. Jonathan?
Yes.
Tess?
Muted.
Tess?
Yes.
Thank you. Kevin? Kevin? Hello, Kevin.
He's muted.
See if he's here.
Yeah, he's there. I can see him.
Okay.
Kevin?
He's muted.
I'll ask
Kevin,
him to unmute. Hold on, where are you, Kevin?
Okay,
Unmute,
I'm gonna go back to
Come
Kevin.
back.
Sean?
Yes.
Jake?
If I can vote on this one, yes.
Yes, you can vote on yourself. Yes, you can. Colby?
Yes. And let me,
Okay.
okay, Kevin's unmuted. Hi, Kevin,
Yeah,
what do you
Kevin.
vote?
How do you
Yes.
vote? Great.
He's a yes.
Motion carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 0. Congratulations, Jake.
All right.
Thank you.
Two-term Jake.
Two-term Jake. It's awesome.
That's a great name for a cowboy.
That'll be his new name. Okay.
I'm gonna change his name right now on Zoom. Two-term Jake. All right. Motion D. The board hereby elects Louis Shalashi as secretary of Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. Oh my gosh, we've been waiting to do this for a long time.
Yes. Do we have a first?
Jonathan.
Jonathan, thank you. Do I have a second?
Shannon.
Shannon, thank you, Shannon.
Discussion on this matter. Please raise your hand. Unless you want to be secretary.
That's right.
Go ahead, raise your hand. I dare you. I'm joking. If you have any comments or questions, please raise your hand right now. I don't see it. We're going to bring this to a vote.
Okay.
Rowan?
Let me just, hold on. I'm just putting that there's no. Okay, Robin, I'm a yes. Arthur?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Lee is excused. Susanna is excused. Jonathan?
Yes.
Tess?
Yes.
Kevin? Kevin, are you muted?
Let me unmute him.
Kevin.
Kevin Dees? How do you vote?
And I'm going to keep going on Kevin. Sean?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Colby?
Yes. All right. Well,
Just
maybe
on
we can
Kevin.
pass this without him if
Kevin.
he doesn't put on.
He might be hearing a screaming baby or something. Kevin, one last shot. Otherwise, I'm going to put excused.
Yeah, let's bring it back in later in the meeting. All right, just put him excused. We'll pop him out and pop him back in.
All right.
8:30.
So motion carries with, oh, there he is. Kevin, how do you vote for?
Sorry, something's wrong with my, yes.
Great. Motion carries 12-0. Thank you, everyone.
All right, congratulations, Louis.
Yep.
Now we have, let's see. Oh yeah, this is motion E. The board hereby approves of and agrees to send the attached letter of action to Mayor Eric Garcetti and the Los Angeles City Council regarding the proposed establishment of 2 LAMC 4118 special enforcement zones within Greater Toluca Lake. Do I have a first open this up?
Jonathan.
Jonathan, yep.
Yeah.
Tess.
Second. Thank you, Tess.
Discussion on this matter. Please raise your hand. I see hand raised. Hold on. Ren. Hi, Ren.
Hi. I just wanted to see, do we have a map on this that we can show where these zones are specifically?
Not a map, unless Jonathan was a proponent of this. It's in the letter. The physical description of the areas is in the letter, which I'm sure you saw. Let me bring it up on my. I don't know how to screen share.
Okay, well, listen, if there's not a map that we can show quickly, maybe just a general kind of meets and bounds, what the outer.
Pretty much for Jonathan, you can take over, but it's pretty much by the McDonald's, the new McDonald's they did. It's the 1100 block of Riverside Drive underpass, the Vineland underpass also. Jonathan, you want to take over? You know this much better.
Yeah, I'll just briefly say, I mean, I'm no genius on the whole subject matter. What it is one of the only tools that exists in Los Angeles for placing a zone. It has to go before city council. So it's called 4118, then there's several paragraphs. This happens to be, I think, paragraph C, which would, Tess knows the exact word. It's a zone, Tess, what's it called?
It's called a special enforcement zone.
Special enforcement zone. Ren, it's specifically, think of Riverside Drive where the 3 overpasses go in a row. That's at the end of Hortense onto Riverside. Think of the second one.
I'm sorry. I remember this now, and I actually drove by it and took a look at it. So yeah, support this. Very great.
It's like the disaster city. Okay, so it's there and it's the Vineland. And then previously, Kevin brought up the question of why does Lancashire look a little less infected, even though I was just there and it's still filthy, but it isn't as bad. That's because that's under a some zoning already. It's unclear to me exactly what it is because every time you talk to people, they don't actually understand. It took me a long time to get to the bottom of what this was all about, 4118. And there's another ordinance that is not being enforced because of litigation in the city, and no one will talk about it. So you only get cockamamie answers from anyone. Bottom line is 4118 evidently is being reported that the mayor is objecting to any more passages. Nobody knows why. They say it's because they haven't completed posting the new signs. It's real crazy conversations, just like we're hearing about the lighting being out on Riverside Drive. So as a community, the only resource we have is the law and our determination. In this case, it's the law that we have to depend on to carve out these grounds as exclusive or not available for public use other than transiting through them. And they're like sensitive uses. Okay, so I highly recommend we do this. Thank you.
And we actually voted on a support letter for 4118 in a previous meeting. So it goes along with what we've already supported. Hi, Chad.
By the way, also, I would say we're very lucky because Mr. Krikarian, unlike our previous council person, is a proponent of 4118s, recognizing that our public areas simply cannot all be available for people to do whatever they want in them. There are certain public areas that are more sensitive, as already noted, schools, libraries, things like that. So this falls under that 4118s that you've heard so much about. Oftentimes before 6 or 7 years ago, it was called the no loitering ordinance, but we don't refer to that anymore. Thank you.
Okay.
Tess, you had a question?
Yeah, she had her hand up.
So yeah, thank you for bringing this forward, Jonathan. Kevin, further to your question earlier, the reason that the Lancashire underpass got the clearing out treatment or the special enforcement zone treatment was because of the timing. That was voted on and approved on September 21st of last year, while Krikorian, oversaw that district. And the 2 locations in this particular letter or request for action were redistricted from Council Member Rahman, who was our council member until December 31st. And now that same area is redistricted to Councilmember Krikorian. So he was issuing or supporting these actions last year. It's just that he was not our council member last year. And these things take an inordinate amount of time in order to be put forward and approved. So that is why there is this distinct difference between those two areas, notwithstanding the fact that once one of those areas, two such underpasses, the Lancashire underpass and the one on Moore Park, were cleared. On one of them was cleared on February 12th of last year. And I remember that date quite specifically because it was a Saturday and it was our cleanup date. And the people who were displaced from Moore Park literally walked over and moved in to our underpass area where they have been ever since. February 12th, 2022, a day that will live forever in my mind. So thank you.
So it might change then, was what you're saying.
I beg your pardon?
It might change, but it'll take a little while that it's now in Krikorian's area.
Well, he's supportive of it. Let's put it that way. So if we can get this approved, then we can at least get those areas, designated as special enforcement zones, which it appears to be the only mechanism available. So yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, I got a map up to show everyone. If you want, I can real quick and show you.
Let me give you screen share abilities. I think it's co-host.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah, try screen sharing now. I think you should be able to do it.
No problem. So I'm not sure if it's showing right now, but
yes,
it
is.
Okay, the little blue areas is the Vineland area, and the area that's between Vineland and Hortense is the other portion. So this is the area that we were talking about.
Yeah, and that's the area that's pretty hard hit with this use.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you, Sean.
Sure. And now I can unscreen share. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, here we go. I'll push this.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're back. Any other questions regarding this from board members or stakeholders? If we are gonna pass this, I want to amend slightly at the end. Respectfully, board of directors are gonna change that just to graduate neighborhood council. Let's cut that out. Just a little technical thing, or change that.
I'm sorry. What are you changing, Colby?
I'm going to change or delete at the end of the letter. It says, "Thank you, respectfully, the board of directors." I think what I'm going to do is I would sign it because I don't want to have 16 signatures on this.
Well, you can just say on behalf of, president, on behalf of.
Yeah, like we've done before. Yeah. So let's just, I'll change that to as president on behalf of the Greater Toluca Neighborhood Council. And that's the as amended.
And may I suggest one more change? It is going to the honorable members of the Los Angeles City Council, but should we highlight our council member, Paul Krikorian?
Well, we have a letter. You mean highlight? You mean praise him?
Mm-hmm.
We actually are.
But this is our council member. He's our district. So
I know we have another letter. Our next vote is that, but we can put in a sentence or two if you like.
Okay, I'm just saying if you're seeing all these people, I mean, he should at the very least be a CC recipient, since he's our council district representative.
Yeah. And I want to CC Gunn, keep them up to date what we're doing. Okay, so I'm making these notations here. Robin, we just change this just as amended, and I'll add in the CCs and I'll sign it on behalf of our council. Okay. So motion E, the board hereby approves of and agrees to send the attached letter of action to Mayor Eric Garcetti and the Los Angeles City Council regarding the proposed establishment of 2 LAMC 4118 special enforcement zones within Greater Toluca Lake as amended.
Okay,
Robin?
Robin, I'm a yes. Arthur?
Okay.
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Ren,
Let me
Ren,
unmute him. Where are you, Ren?
okay, I'm gonna
Find
keep
him.
going. I'll go back to Ren. Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Abstain.
Lee is
Abstain?
excused. Oh, abstain. Sorry. I thought you said
Matt
abstain.
abstained.
Okay, Lee is excused. Susanna is excused. Jonathan,
Yes.
Tess,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Colby,
Yes,
and I'm
and
gonna go back to
Ren?
Ren. Ren,
Sorry, yes, I was getting some water. Yes, thank you.
don't worry. I know it's 8:47. We're gonna have to take a break soon. 7th inning stretch. Okay, motion carries.
11-10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1, 0. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Next up, motion F.
May I, Colby, Robin, is it not 11-0-1? We didn't have a no, we had an abstention instead of 11-1-0.
Okay, you're right. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
confused. I wish Catherine was on the call because sometimes the abstention is in the second spot and sometimes the extension, I'm always clarifying that.
Actually, tonight we've done it, the abstention in the
no
middle spot.
Yes.
We did abstentions in the middle spot, so we should keep it consistent.
But it is listed as to how everyone's voting.
Okay.
And it did pass.
All right.
But
well,
I will look for clarification on that for the next meeting.
As long as it's consistent, it doesn't matter. Thank you.
Yes.
So far, it's consistent in the meeting. Motion F, the board hereby approves of and agrees to send the attached letter of appreciation to council member Krikorian. First on this?
First, Tess.
Thank you.
Second, please.
Second, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay. Discussion on this matter. Hand raised, please, if you want to discuss or ask a question. I don't see hands raised. So the next part would be going to a vote.
Okay. Robin is a yes. Arthur?
Yes.
Hang on one second. I'm just gonna copy this. Hang on. I'll do this. Okay. Arthur's a yes. Shannon?
Yes.
Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Lee is excused. Suzanne is excused. Jonathan?
Yes.
Tess?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
And Colby?
Yes.
That gives us 12-0-0. Motion carries.
Thank you, Robin. Next up, we have the 134 Foreman Underpass Project financial issue. We had money encumbered several years ago, $7,410 earmarked for this project. And I'm now in discussions with getting that money cleared to move forward with anything else we want to do with it, or to roll it back into, if we vote appropriately, vote to do so, into financing or funding another 134 underpass project. But basically, we're going to start. The city has said that they don't see any issues with the contract after all this time, after pretty much over 3 years. However, because so much time has passed, they are requiring a revote on this matter. So that's where we are now, and I am still just going back and forth with the city, discussing the details of the encumbrance of these funds from way back when. Any questions or, yes, I see Brett.
Yeah, this has been pending for a long time, and I think having the city even ask us to re-vote on this is annoying, but I can certainly understand it. For those of you who weren't here at the creation of this, this is a project that has a huge value for the not only the commercial area of Toluca Lake, but I think the area in general, because the creation of parking is very valuable. As people go into the community to look for parking, they'll drive around. In some cases, they'll just drive out into Burbank somewhere or wherever. They won't stay in Toluca Lake if they can't find a place to park. About 4 years ago, the Chamber, 5 years ago now, the Chamber did a parking study, and there were a number of people who wanted to build a parking structure in Toluca Lake. But that was problematic for a number of reasons, cost being one of them. That's pretty obvious. Location being another, where do you put it? And the third thing, the traffic engineers who we had look at it said that a lot of communities don't use their parking. They build a parking structure and then discover that there's no real usage of it. People will drive around, look for street parking, park in front of people's homes rather than use the community parking structure. So the bottom line on all that, as we were looking around, the engineer suggested under the freeway as a possibility. And the more we looked at it, the more it looked like a relatively low cost, easy to build, and good location for parking in Toluca Lake. And so we went forward to get a more serious, if you will, design and cost estimate. To get funding to build it, you really have to be able to tell people what you're building and tell them, approximately what it's going to cost. Obviously, you have to get bids and all of that. But if you have a ballpark number, why then you know what you're asking for, governmental sources and other private sources. So we went to get this design done, and the whatever it was, $7,400 was to hire a firm which had bid on this. There were bids for it. We actually got 4 bids to do this, and their bid was substantially lower than the others. Their background is strong. They're capable of doing this. So we went into the city with a contract to have these people, and they had been contracted by the city a number of times before, planning department and public works and so forth. So this wasn't a firm off the wall somewhere. These guys had experience. Nevertheless, this got careful of my words here. It got delayed by the city clerk's office, the various people in various places. And so we've been waiting for this contract to get approved and get funded. And it's been sitting out there. The money was sitting out there for a long time. And I guess it's still sitting out there. Colby, you can give us the final word on whether this money is still out there. A, it sounds like it is. And then secondly, whether it can be used only for this project, because I think that was a second understanding, that if we didn't get this money spent on this project, it would go back to the city and not to us. In other words, it wouldn't be available to us to spend on something else. Colby, is that still the case?
That's what I'm checking into right now with the city, and it's complicated. And I'm in the middle of going over and just waiting back from emails and discussing that issue with our funding rep in the city clerk's office, and then and all that stuff. So it's gotten a little more complicated, unfortunately.
So you think it'll take us what, 3 months or 6 months for them to figure this out? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm at this point, I'm really fed up with the city clerk's office.
Unraveling the series of events and to get a definitive answer. I don't have a definitive answer at this evening.
And
Okay,
also
thank
just
you.
because Ren has worked on this for so many years, I've watched him pine over this. This project, if it is done in the future, would be extremely beneficial to the community because unlike other underpasses, this underpass at Foreman is, if you walk down the underpass, there is almost 2 car lengths. It's like there's sidewalk, chain link, and then more sidewalk that's blocked off, that's next to the walls. And what all this project is to remove the chain link fence, to cut into the sidewalk. So there would still be a sidewalk. It's just cut in so that there would be diagonal parking, not diagonal, what is it called? Angled parking. And it will give us approximately, I think, 17 new parking spaces, which we extremely need, especially in that area. And then the cost would also include lighting, possible decor, murals, some sort of, to make it a beautiful passway to go from north on Foreman to south on Foreman. And it really is, I've seen pictures, a beautiful project. It would be such an incredible project if we can get it done. And it would benefit us tremendously because of all the parking spaces.
I'm going to go to Tess, and then I'm going to go to stakeholders. Hi, Tess.
Thank you, Colby. So it sounds viable. I know this has been on the docket for quite some time, and that WRT is, I guess, in the queue to take this on. I have a question for Ren and a question for Robin. Ren, where would we see those 4 bids that were submitted? And Robin, is this a Beautification Partners project?
I believe it's neighborhood council was the one who paid for the bid, right, Ren?
Yes.
It was never paid, the bid was never, it was never bid, it was never paid for. I mean, like, the contract was never approved, so the money was never given to or sent to the WRT.
Okay, so
yes, but this initial money would have been paid for, would have been paid out by the neighborhood council.
Okay, and where would we find those bids, Ren?
I'd have to go back.
With the city?
Ryan Altoon still has the file on this, so I could.
It could be on the drive. I could search. Tess, if you remind me tomorrow, I could look into our drive, which should have a lot.
Yeah.
And also photos of what it would look like.
It might be on the drive. Might be deep in the drive.
I'd like to see the bids, the competitive bids, and so is this then? WRT would be tasked, or a similar agency, to do the rendering or the feasibility study for the 7 or 8 grand. But is this overall a beautification project, a Toluca Lake beautification project?
Not at this point. What would happen is WRT, as I understand, would they'd be paid for. They would their feasibility. I understand it to be a feasibility study, for instance. On initial study. Then that would probably lead to a bid for the overall project, whether it be $300,000 or $500,000, $200,000, who knows?
And who would be overseeing that?
Then we would then hopefully an organization such as Beautification could come in and fully or partially fund this, or another organization. Could be, we could maybe get money from Universal Studios or another
or grants.
Yeah, grants. It would be a grant or money from a company or a combination of companies.
Okay, but the answer as to whether Toluca Lake Beautification Partners is directing this project, yes or no, at this point it is unknown.
It is no.
Wait a minute. It's a no.
Okay.
Beautification Partners is not part of the WRT contract.
I understand who WRT is.
Theoretically, they might step up and get the money to actually build the project.
Okay.
Or we might go to another governmental source, either city or through whatever, or private source. Somebody may step up. So,
all right. Well, thank you. And I'll remind you, Colby, I'd love to see those bids if they're on the drive. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll look for it tomorrow. Remind you tomorrow.
If Toluca Lake beautification was a part of it, is there some problem with that?
No, I'm just curious because Kevin, we have several board members, Kevin, who on neighborhood council who are also beautification partners board members.
Just
That's
seems
all.
like you're skeptical of that of beautification.
Well,
and I'm not a part of beautification partners. I just don't know where that's coming from. That's all.
Okay, I just want clarity. That's all, Kevin.
Okay, Jonathan.
Thanks. This was on the agenda of the Plum Committee, and now it's on the agenda under the Executive Committee.
It's because
we're not voting on it.
Financial.
I know, but my point is, if it's on, there was a very long discussion in the Plum Committee about this, and what came out of that was more information was specifically needed. And also what came out of it was a lot of work has been invested in the project, which makes it more valuable for the neighborhood. If there's already investment of a lot of time and a lot of effort, people are committed to it at a certain level. And as a form of respect to each other, we need these answers. But it also says to me, we need to look at our budget and reserve that money so that we have the freedom to vote for this, to go forward on it, once we have the information that was needed, that was defined in the Plum Committee meeting. So what I'm asking is, or what I'm saying to everyone who doesn't understand is, this is a proposal to pay $7,000 to $8,000, it seems, out of the budget that's not currently budgeted. And it's unknown whether we do it or we don't, but with all of the things I just said, there's a good likelihood a lot of people are going to be determined to move forward on it. It's not about beautification partners or not, but just so much about history, trying to understand what happened, because some of us are new. And I certainly have a deep respect for other people who do hard work and it's meaningful to them. So I'm interested to know more, just like a lot of other people. But looking at the budget, as we move forward in tonight's agenda, there is a call for more money. And I think we need to consciously reserve $8,000 so that we're available for it, whether we decide to do it or not. And also keep it in the Plum Committee if that's where it's been treated. It's very confusing to me because I had to look back at the agenda and try to figure out where we are. Thank you.
The reason is it's an exec, it's also a financial matter.
Okay, thanks.
There. Okay, moving along. Oh, I see attendees. I see Bob Chiavelli. Bob. Bob, you can unmute yourself if you still want to speak. Okay, I don't think he wants to speak. There he goes. Okay, we're gonna move on. I don't hear you. Anyone hear Bob talk?
No, he just
no?
muted
Okay.
himself. Okay.
Okay, that's
right.
that. Next up on exec is the
Uh-huh.
100th. I'm sorry, what, Robin?
No, I was going to say he could always raise his hand again.
Yeah.
Go ahead. The
100th
100th
celebration street banners, and I think this is a great idea. So as this is actually Shannon is involved with this, and so is Robin, and I originally saw the banners I was stuck in a traffic jam and I took an alternate route on Ventura Boulevard down Tarzana and I saw these beautiful banners that the Tarzana Neighborhood Council has hanging from their street lights, and it immediately raised awareness, my awareness to Tarzana's Neighborhood Council. And I thought, gosh, that's a wonderful asset to have. And Shannon and Robin had that similar idea, parallel at a parallel time to introduce our Neighborhood Council logo and to let it be known that Toluca Lake is going to be celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2023. Shannon, do you want to add a few words about this?
Well, we contacted Tiffany's office from council members Gregorians, and they're willing to do the permit process for us. If we submit the design, they'll design or make the banners, and they'll pay for everything except we would just pay for the installation. And we asked, I mean, I asked big. I said if we could do it for the whole year since it's the 100-year anniversary, and from the patties to ledge. And I don't know if we could do all of that, but I just thought I just asked to see if we can do the whole thing. And she said yes. And so we just had to find out what the installation for each pole would be. That would be our cost, but they would take care of everything else and also do the permitting process as well.
That'd be wonderful. And then we'll have to get an approved vendor, I guess, to handle that installation. That's exciting.
Colby, I think, can you hear me, Colby?
Oh, hi, Bob.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the WRT because it's near and dear to my heart, if it's okay for the council.
All right, can you give us 1 second while we finish up?
Let's just close. We're already moved on.
Absolutely.
I called your name several times, but we'll go back to you. I don't want to trip up this conversation. And any comments or ideas regarding the 100th anniversary?
Well, the banners is an idea in process. Shannon has gone ahead and talked to CD2, so she got the ball rolling. We have no idea yet what's going to be placed on the banners. At the moment, it's going to be obviously GTLNC. It's going to be Toluca Lake celebrating its 100th anniversary. Shannon, are we allowed to put any of the other organizations on there, or is it just GTLNC?
I think we just GTLNC, I believe.
Okay, because they're going to be paying for it. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we'll keep it simple.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think maybe outreach could help design the banner.
Well,
we have the logo. We have a vector file for our logo.
There may be a logo in the works for the 100th.
I have the logo. I have a vector file. I gave it to.
No, I'm not. The neighborhood council logo, yes, but as far as the 100th anniversary celebration, I don't know if it needs to be consistent throughout the whole community, whereas everything has the same logo. I don't know. So
what we could do is have the logo and just our regular. What I think maybe just have our regular GTLNC logo for consistency, and below that have the dates 1923-2023.
Yeah, of course. But the design of the banner, other than the logo, or is it just the logo you're looking to?
It could just be a simple logo, like a green banner with a white. This is more of an outreach conversation, but
yeah,
I think it's simple would be great as you're driving down Ventura Boulevard. I mean, sorry.
Okay. So
Riverside
maybe Shannon, you and I need to meet with the outreach committee. Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of an outreach conversation. I just want to, and then moving on. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to 134 underpass. Bob?
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry I couldn't get my speaker working prior. There's a lot of new people on the council, and perhaps people that are in attendance that might be a little confused about this. And I am confused about this. I really don't know what the hell happened. I was very much involved in this back in the end of 19 as chairman of the Planning and Land Use Committee. So working with Ryan Altoon, who is Beautification Partners, and WRT, the firm, we hammered out that agreement and then submitted an invoice to the city for $7,500 even. So I'm really confused what happened. Maybe Arthur can answer that. Was that invoice denied, Arthur? Arthur maybe can't hear me. So let me go back a little bit. WRT,
there he is.
Arthur?
There he is.
Yeah,
I am here, Bob.
We submitted an invoice for $7,500. Was it denied?
So what had happened was the GTLNC had passed a motion for the Foreman Underpass for WRT back in May 2020. And then since then, that invoice and the contract have been under review with the city clerk in various, stages of review. So WRT was never paid money for the services, and those monies were encumbered for that purpose.
Well, the monies, let me go back a little bit. We had $7,500 earmarked for Earth Day, if you recall. Earth Day was canceled because of the pandemic. It was at the end of the fiscal year. So it was made clear to me at that time that if we didn't use that money, of course, we're not issuing money, but if we didn't use it, we would lose it. Isn't that the case?
So we did encumber these funds, and through conversations with the city clerk, they as these funds passed from fiscal year to fiscal year, we had, we were in communication with them to make sure that, hey, this project is still going on and these funds are still, being earmarked. So along the way, we've been, communicating with them about, these funds, and so they wouldn't forget about them. And it has been a long time. Like you said, I think you said these conversations started in 2019. And so this is where we are right now.
Well, it actually even started before. Before being chairman of the Plum, I was on the planning committee for some 4 years, and Ryan Altoon at that time was chairman of the Plum committee. I don't know how we can say this is not a beautification partners project. It was initiated by the beautification partners. They're the only ones who can drive this, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. They have very talented people at the beautification partners who can drive this to its end. I don't think this board can do that, and this board changes all the time, so that would be a lot harder to get continuity. I'm just, we're asking for a lot of money now. If we lost that 7,500, when I say lost, I mean we can't repurpose it. It was part of a budget at that time, and I can't claim it. I can't bring it back. So therefore, if we continue, I've got to come up with $7,500 again. Is that correct? I mean, you have to put it in the budget.
That's the part that I'm trying to unravel.
So it's not a definite that we lost the money.
No, it's not. And let me explain this. And it's complicated, and I'm still learning because I don't have a definitive answer. What I understand so far, and again, it's all very gray area, even as I speak with the city clerk. 7410 was encumbered, at least that's the number I've been given by the city clerk, back in, I believe, 2020, or the fiscal year 2020. Well, actually, it could mean 2019. Fiscal year 2020.
Yeah, we gave them an invoice, Colby, for $7,500. That's an official invoice that we billed them. We billed.
I've seen 74. I'm seeing the number 7410.
Well, I have a copy of the invoice if you'd like.
Okay, whether it's 7410 or $7,500, I'll continue with this explanation as far as I've been told, and this isn't definite, but no one really knows at in this juncture. That money had been encumbered, whether it's 7,500 or 7410, back in fiscal year 2020, as far as I understand. Arthur, is that correct? Is that the date 2020, fiscal year 2020?
Correct.
I believe that was it. And so then that money was put into a pot. Essentially, was taken, as far as I've been told, taken out of our account and put into, as the city clerk described it, a big pot full of money, in layman's terms, that is in the city's account. And that money, I'm going to call it 7410, was encumbered just for the WRT project, 134 underpass project. Then I'll say it, the city, I would say, really was very, very slow and unresponsive in working with not even me, or not even really at this point, Ryan, just back probably, way back, with the details of that agreement, and wouldn't, so I'm told, wouldn't return phone calls or emails. And then what happened was, as we probably know, if the money, normally if it's not spent within 1 year after the money is encumbered, it gets swept back into the city. Fortunately, at that time, essentially an extension was asked for or requested. Is that right, Arthur? By us to extend the encumbrance another fiscal year. And then that brought us into the year of COVID and more chaos, as I explained it, in the city clerk's office and in the city in general. And then the money went another year, as the GTLNC tried to close this deal and try to get approval from the planning office to execute this agreement with WRT. And the way it works is, at least the way it's explained to me, the money wouldn't be released until a signed agreement was reached and approved by the city and signed off by the city. And the money would not be released until that happened. And that never happened. So then what happened last November, as we were spending, doing NPGs and all that stuff, all that good stuff for the community, this money was released from that big pot I was describing. That was with the city. And for some reason, and the city doesn't have an explanation, it was released back into, Arthur, you can correct me if I'm incorrect, but into our general fund.
When you say our general fund, the neighborhood council general fund or the city general fund?
The neighborhood council.
Okay, got it.
So our budget is now 39,000?
No, let me, I just want to just explain where we are. It's just, or as far as I understand it to be, and I'm still working on this, that's why this is here. Then that money was about, let's see, $5,000 of that money was spent into NPGs. However, we were unaware, at least that's, correct me if I'm wrong, because the way the city had worked was that any money that swept forward isn't encumbered money, meaning that there's money rolled over from previous years, which is standard. And this money, we believe, was a rollover from previous years, not encumbered funds, because encumbered funds, as I'm told, are not rolled over because they're encumbered, never to be seen by the neighborhood council's budget again, unless they go directly to that vendor. So that money was, for some reason, and I don't, it might be an error on someone's part, I don't know, in the comptroller's office, I'm not sure, and they don't know yet either, was put into our general fund, neighborhood council's general fund, and $5,000. And so when we ended the year, this past fiscal year, we ended it with $2,400 of unspent funds, and the rest was all spent in NPGs and other expenses as running expenses. So where we stand now is my discussion with the city clerk was that it looks like all the money, the $7,400, will not be swept back into the city, because we spent $5,000 of that $7,410 on NPGs and improvements to our neighborhood. And it didn't necessarily go to WRT or to the encumbered target. However, the money did go to NPGs and went to our improvement, our neighborhood. So the way the city clerk is looking at this right now, which is, I'd say, somewhat favorable, is that around $2,410 is likely to be swept back into the city, but that other $5,000 that we did spend on NPGs supporting our neighborhood would not be swept back into the city. And again, this is not the final word. This is where this is what I'm told is the picture at this moment. So I wasn't ready to talk about everything in this detail right now. However, as we started getting into it, I wanted to tell you everything that I know. However, everything that I'm telling you might not be,
well,
even the city doesn't know.
Yeah, as Jonathan and Tess have mentioned, the Plum Committee is now discussing asking for $8,000 for this very project. So obviously we have.
That's a separate issue. Let's just put that.
No, it's not a separate issue. We have to table that because we don't know where that money went.
Well, we are. We're not voting on this tonight.
And I would ask you, Colby, to check with the city, because that money was that invoice was sent to the city at the end of the fiscal year. There was no time to spend it on anything else. Everybody, and I know this predates your involvement. look, everybody was very clear that if the city rejected or denied that invoice, we were gonna we couldn't repurpose it.
Well,
Happy to be, I am so happy to be wrong. So happy to
It's
be
not
wrong
100%
about
slam
that.
dunk that we lost the money.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
All
And
right,
have
but
to move
until
on.
we know if we have it or don't have it, how in the Plum Committee cannot even consider this project?
Right, and this is new information for me. I've learned this, I've since we had that meeting on Plum last week.
And just for additional background, WRT is involved in 3 projects that the Beautification Partners is driving. One of them is the Riverside Median. The other one is the Clybourne Median. And then you have this underpass. And in all 3 cases, we gave them money for preliminary designs. I think we gave $4,000 for WRT for this particular design. And Robin gave a beautiful description of what's going on. But next time, if we discuss it, please put up that preliminary design that WRT did, so everybody else who's new here can see exactly what we're talking about and decide whether or not they want to spend that money for that overpass project, or whether or not they want to put it into the WRT Riverside Median project, which is where I would like it to go. That's speaking for myself. So I'm going to walk away from this clear that we cannot talk about this project at the Plum Committee. Is that okay with you, or Renan, or Robin?
All Colby is trying to do is talk about the financial issue of where, what this project, this is not about the project. This is just about whether the money is encumbered. That's all we're discussing.
What I'm trying to do is give you a bigger picture on where you talk. I'm trying to give you a bigger picture on the possibilities of our budget.
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Colby, and believe me, I have a lot of respect for you and what you're saying, but $8,000 is a lot of money. You only have 13 to spend all year. So now you got 8,000.
Yeah, but
you want to put 8,000 into a project, you don't know where the other 8,000.
Bob, I've just learned about this encumbrance issue after the Plum meeting, not before. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to step back from the vote. Okay, I'm not trying to push $8,000.
I'm trying to step back too. I'm saying you can't. The Plum Committee cannot discuss this until we find out from you what happened.
Correct.
Yes, that's why I'm bringing this up.
Does everybody agree with that? At least
I agree.
That's what I'm talking about.
There needs to be more clarification, and as soon as Colby gets that, he will bring it to the board, and then he can discuss that with Plum.
Done.
I mean, is that understood? That's why I'm filling you guys in on all this information, so you know everything, or it's not even, might not even be what is. I don't even know. No one even really 100% knows because it's gotten so complicated.
And I'm bringing it up because the Plum Committee was asked for $8,000.
Okay, I'm going to move forward. We've killed this. We've beaten this horse.
Yeah.
We're going to move forward.
And again, it's 9:24. I just want to be mindful that we still are. We haven't even done the committee reports yet. So
no, we're in agreement. We're going to table this until you find out.
I'm moving forward, Rob. I'm going to take a stakeholder. John.
Thank you very much. This on a previous topic. You somehow got sidetracked. I can appreciate that.
Which topic?
Banners.
Banners. Thank you.
Okay. On the banners, what I'd like to do is share with you my personal experience with the banners so that you can learn and grow from it. Number one.
Thank you.
Number one, for the past 6 months, we've been working, Northridge South has been working on banner project as well with our District 12 group. District 12 said, yes, this is an awesome project. We'll jump in behind you. That was 3 months ago, and we've not received any emails back. Point number one. Number two, we have been through 363 Zoom meetings over the past 2 years. And the group that we went to, which is Sherman Oaks, write this down, Sherman Oaks approved 35 banners printed front, back, and it's on a $3,500 budget. Number one, that's with the interface with District 12 to get the permits approved. Number two, it includes all the artwork and design work for the banners. The banners are going to be 36 wide, 90 long. We have the group, I'll give you the group. The group is called Gold Metropolitan Media. And we're waiting for the quote from them. We're only going to do 20 banners. So they did 35 for $3,500. And just want to give you that information. And you should put a halo over that young lady who got the CD to approve this, but I highly recommend you get something in writing from them. We failed to do that, and here we are 3.5 months later and no response. So please go back to that person, get that person to send you a letter stating they're going to cover that project so that you can include that in your minutes and notes. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Good pointer. Thank you. Go back to, I don't know who was here first, but Jonathan. Probably
it's on the banners also. It's very quickly. I didn't quite understand if it got covered. These banners are for the village only. Is that what they are? And that's not a bad thing. Let me just ask the questions and then answer. So
all right.
The banners are for what area? And is it also including the installation? Because I would imagine that's a substantial part of it if it has to take a truck. Thanks.
No, it's installation only, as far as I understand, and I really believe just the village, Patty's Restaurant to Ledge Avenue.
Right.
So how many banners is that?
We don't.
Shannon, you know?
We don't know. So we're just waiting to get the number what they'll approve of doing, and so we might just spread it out further. Here, I'll get back on video. Anyways, so it just depends on what we can, I guess, get the final approval of how many banners, and then we can see how many poles.
Banners have been used in the past in LA. I'm telling you, they're phenomenal. They have a really good way of claiming a street back. Anyway, we can talk about it. That's enough we've talked about here. I just want to understand it. I think it's got a lot of potential. Thanks.
Janet, how about one really, really big banner?
That'd be great. When that?
Yeah, we were talking about a banner across Riverside like they've done in the past. There's been conversations about whether they don't allow them anymore, but sometimes they do. So we're going to look into everything. The celebration or the year of celebrating Toluca Lake's 100th anniversary is in the works. There's been a lot of suggestions. There's a lot of things that still haven't been they haven't moved forward. They're just ideas at the moment. So the banners was the one.
I think the banners are they're beautiful. At least I've seen them. So okay, we're gonna move on. It's 9:30. About any other question about banners? Where were we? Okay, turkey trot.
Turkey trot are involved.
Scott Morris has invited us to participate in the turkey trot. He just participate. He's not asking for money from us, which is nice. He just like us to be there and be represented. So that was very nice.
Scott Morris
is
is
November 20th, Sunday, November 20th.
And they just want every organization to participate. So we could set up a table with an outreach, and you guys could, whoever outreach committee is, can deem whatever they want to talk about or give out or participate. There's no charge. They just want all the organizations to come and participate.
Who was the guy you just mentioned?
Scott Morris.
Scott Morris is the organizer.
He's in charge of the turkey trot.
Okay, so he's not with an organization. He's just an individual, or
no, he's on the HOA. He's on the Toluca Lake HOA.
Okay.
He's a board member.
That's who's sponsoring it.
All right, got it.
Okay, there's that. Any comments or questions on the turkey trot? Okay, we'll move on to. Oh yes, and we're tabling item 4. We're tabling board member Lee Jamison has termed out after 8 years. We're tabling that.
So we've added him back to the agenda, and we are researching for clarity because we were told that
the city is handling that issue.
Yes.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Arthur.
Okay. Motion G to approve the July 2022 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city. Do I have a first? Jonathan, thank you. Do I have a second?
Shannon.
Shannon, thank you.
If you can allow sharing.
Yes, let me bring you up. You're a co-host now.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So July is the beginning of the fiscal year for us, and we had an allocation for the year of $32,000. During July, we had $2,071 worth of operating expenses, 2 Apple One invoices for $1,942.71, our Google invoice for $99, and then our MailChimp for $28.99. And we ended July with $29,929. Do we have any questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none.
More. Hold on.
Oh,
Let me look
there we
harder. I see one hand raised.
Bob Schiavelli.
No, actually, I hadn't lowered it, but now that you mention it, you mentioned that we had a rollover about $2,000. Does that get reflected later on?
That's correct.
Okay.
Later on.
Okay, thank you.
Most likely around November, October timeline.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Please raise your hand. If not, we'll move forward. I see Bob again.
No, I'm trying to lower it. I'm sorry.
Okay, I lowered it for you.
All right, got it.
I keep lowering it for you. Okay, you keep
All right.
raising it. Okay, anyone else? Okay, I don't see anything, Arthur.
Okay, so let's go take it to a vote.
Okay, let me read the motion. Motion, where am I? Motion G to approve the July 2022 MER expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city. Robin, I'm a yes. Arthur,
Yes.
Shannon. Shannon,
He's muted.
Shannon,
Yes, I was chewing. Sorry.
that's okay. Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lee is excused. Susanna's excused. Jonathan,
Yes.
Tess,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Jake is ineligible. Colby,
yes.
motion carries 11-0-0. Thank you. So let's read the next one. Motion H to approve the August 2022 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city. Do I have a first?
Shannon.
Shannon, thank you. Do I have a second?
Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Discussion, do you want to put that? Oh, you did.
I did. So we had ended July with $29,929. We had $137 in August, and that includes our Google invoice for $108 and then MailChimp for $28.99. And so we ended August with $29,792. Do we have any questions or comments?
I look around.
I'm sorry, did somebody say
I
something?
see, yeah, I see Bob. Hi, Bob.
No, it keeps raising on,
Okay,
as a mind of its own.
For some reason, we keep doing it. Okay, so from now on, just speak up, Bob. I keep lowering it, and you keep. Okay,
right.
your hand's lowered. Keep it lowered. Okay.
So we're good.
Okay,
We're going to do a vote. Motion H to approve the August 2022 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Robin, I'm a yes. Arthur,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Lee and Susanna are excused. Jonathan,
Yes.
Tess,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jake is ineligible. Colby,
Yes.
motion carries 11-0-0. Thank you, Arthur.
Arthur, I do have a question though.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Can you throw up that spreadsheet that you sent out to everybody?
Oh, sure.
Is that possible? Yeah.
That is possible.
I have some basic, budgeting 101 questions, and if it's too basic, and I know it's very late, but the money is important.
I'm pulling it up right now.
All right, and I'll use the number you have there, which is 32,000. I know there'll be more coming later on, but we can verbally talk about it if you can't get it.
It's it's opening. It's just giving me the spinning wheel.
It's on the left-hand side that I have questions.
Okay, why don't you just ask the question, and if he can get the sheet pulled up, but at least you can ask the question and he can answer it.
All right, Arthur, in my time on the board, I recall we have 3 buckets that we can put money into. One, of course, is operations. The other one is NPGs, and then there's CIPs, Community Improvement Projects.
CIS.
We have 32,000 total. Now, on the top of your spreadsheet on the left-hand side, we have about 19,000 for operations, correct? Well, I mean, I'm asking, I'm not.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and again, a lot of praise has been heaped on you. I was a treasurer for an organization once. It's a tremendously unthankful job and a lot of work. So we have 19,000, right? So that leaves then, I'm using the 13 for our community projects. Yes?
That's the difference between 19 and 32, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Now, that money then, as I look down below, I see all the committees have asked for money. That's the way it works, correct?
Correct.
That's how you, now all of the money has all been called for. The only committee I can see there that didn't ask for money was Plum. So what happens now? We vote for a $5,000 project and that's over budget. How do you handle that?
So when we did approve this budget, it was, it is a placeholder. We're not.
These placeholders, yes, that's what I thought. So there's not a line item yet.
There's not a line item yet. And
Okay.
then as we spend this money throughout the year, it may be very different than what we, agreed to spend it on at the beginning of the year. And it's going to be what the board eventually wants to do. And you're right, it is a fixed pie. And if we want to allocate more to one thing, then it has to come from somewhere else.
Gotcha. That's all. It was just because that's all I had.
Okay.
Okay, I think that takes us out. I don't see any other questions. Thank you, Arthur. We're gonna have to move forward with planning and land use, and that is Ren Blight and Fred Aberry.
Okay, I can start with this and I can hand it off to Ren, and Tess wants to say something on the legislative agenda, but I will start by saying an update on the Riverside Drive former Gelson's project. I was very pleased to see that the post office is going to remain. Did you guys see this? They built a trailer in the back of Patty's parking lot, and the post office will move to this very large trailer in the back of Patty's parking lot. I don't know when. I was in the other day. I asked, of course, nobody knows what day, but it's going to happen soon because there is no internet in the post office. They're getting ready to shut down. It's going to move in the back. That tells me that the Toluca Lake Post Office is here to stay. Otherwise, they wouldn't put up a trailer in the back. If anyone knows anything else, feel free to add to that. But I wanted to throw that out there. The other thing I can talk about is the community plan. And Ren also can elaborate if he wants to. But as you may or may not know, they had a nice, well, I won't call it nice presentation, a presentation to the Plum Committee. And we'd like to invite them back for another one, and also a presentation to the General Board. One of the things the Plum Committee is going to do is put together a list of questions in writing for the planners to address that didn't really get addressed in their last meeting, but that's in the works, but be very important for them to also present for the General Board. That being said, I'd like to hand it off to Ren to talk about some of these other updates. And again, let's talk about the state legislative agenda. So be it. Anyway, go ahead, Ren.
Yeah, just in terms of the community plan, we had a session with the planners. It's very clear that they haven't moved much in 2 years. But they have a big, what I call a pink blob in the middle of Toluca Lake, going from, basically, what is it, Cahuenga, all the way over to Lancashire, all the way up to the freeway, that they're talking about upping the zoning, upping the density and so forth. But there's not enough detail to do much. The good news, I guess, is that they're now talking about the middle of next year as their target date. So I thought it was the end of the year, and I thought we were going to get really squeezed. But it looks like they're going to take time to really get our input. So we have some time to really look at this. But it needs to be watched very carefully. There's a lot of detail, and I won't go into it tonight, of course, but we need to stay up to speed on this and get other people involved in looking at different aspects of this, because it could get real hairy real quick. State legislation, I think Tess probably can speak about that if she wants to, or put it off till next time. I think that's it. There's a lot going on. Stay tuned with our Plum Committee.
Yeah, I will make one comment. This is a piece of legislation that spans both governmental affairs and the planning and land use. And that is an item that I agendized for the Government Affairs Committee meeting earlier this month. And there was some discussion of it. This is Council File 22-1100-S5, which is related to the cost of developing, constructing, or acquiring up to 5,000 additional low-income rental units in each of the 15 Los Angeles City Council districts, which would mean up to 75,000 new low-income units, all right, rental housing units. And so the CIS that I had drafted for the Government Affairs Committee was to object to this, to oppose this council file, which is a ballot measure on the November 8th ballot, which has no dollar amount listed for the cost of developing these up to 75,000 units. And the discussion at our committee was whether or not a neighborhood council can comment on or submit a letter of action or a CIS on something that is a ballot measure. So I've researched that since our Government Affairs Committee meeting, and Empower LA does allow it. And so I will be resubmitting that as a motion for a community impact statement to oppose this council file. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, then please come to our next Government Affairs Committee meeting. And Colby, when we get to our my committee update, I want to ask you about moving the date because of the Jewish holiday. So that's it for me. Thank you.
I think we've already moved that date.
We've done it already, Tess. It's been updated on the website.
Okay, okay. I didn't get a response, so I wasn't sure. And what is the new date?
Whatever you asked for, from the 4th to the 6th, whatever you put in that email, Colby forwarded it to me and it's been done.
Well, thank you. I didn't get a reply, so I didn't know that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jess.
Okay. Go to Toluca Lake Village Clock. Do you want to report on that, Ren?
Yeah, that's they're moving forward on that out of Beautification Partners. I thought it was going to come quicker than I guess it is. They're having some other issues with the city now, evidently. So, I'm still hoping before Christmas, but we'll have to see.
And it does look like it's going to happen at some point for the 100th anniversary celebration. That's the target.
Yes, that's right. So we'll stay tuned.
Or 200th anniversary, we'll see.
Yes.
And then the developer COAs.
Who's going to report on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the last year we put together developer guidelines to hand out to developers who want to do projects in the Toluca Lake area. And I don't know if you remember, Brandon did a good job of doing that. But I think over the next year, the planning committee wants to revisit that and sort of build on the developer guidelines. One of the things we want to do maybe is separate out guidelines for commercial development versus residential, for example. So we want to bring those guidelines back and make them more sophisticated and more specific to Toluca Lake. But that's an ongoing project. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, why tune into planning committee or even join the committee, and we'll get you working on it. Thanks.
I see Jonathan has his hand raised. Hi, Jonathan. Where are you? There you are.
Just a couple of things. Ren, I thought you were just going to put it back on the agenda so that when we visited the Plum meeting, everyone will have just read it. Because I think if we just read it before the meeting, we'll have an instinct as to what we want to do with it. There's also, if you wouldn't mind to say, the meeting's getting long and late. So just with 5 words, what's going on with the clock? Like, what's the nature of the delay? Then the other thing that I would say is, I have already sent to you and to Fred. So I want all of the board to anticipate it and be ready to take a look. A proposal, not a proposal like an architect did it, but just an idea proposal coming from me, that we ought consider 2 neighborhood council signs. There's money going into the beautification partners. There's some money sloshing around. I mean, how it's going to be spent is everyone's business, but neighborhood signs, specifically on the northwest corner of the Vineland intersection, would not only reclaim abused land, it's a strip of city land, but it would also serve as a very, very high volume place to advertise the neighborhood council as well as the local community, which in that case is West Toluca Lake. In the Plum Committee, I've already, as I said, I sent a little bit to Ren and to Fred, depicting what it might look like. And I think other board members might consider where a sign of that nature might, if we could handle 2 in a year or 2 in 2 years, that might be a good track record. I just want to cut myself short here to keep the meeting shorter. But there was one last thing I wanted to address, and that was when Tess was talking about housing and stuff, I started doing some research, and just again to the whole board, I've sent a note, a letter to Tess about a letter of action having to do with Los Angeles City's housing policy. The deeper I got, the more dysfunctional and dystopian it became apparent to me to be, and a large cause of the problem we see in our communities throughout LA, where people are wandering about. It goes right back to how they're not allowing free market forces to prevail. And it really gets appalling when you read into it. So I put together a letter of action concerning that, and you can look forward to seeing it if Tess passes it forward. Thank you.
Colby,
yes.
We are just now, it is 9:49, and this meeting has run very long, and we still have several reports. Does anybody want to take a 5-minute break, or should we just keep going?
I would appreciate a 5-minute break.
Okay, so we are going to take a 5-minute break. We are going to return back at 9:55. Please put your cameras and your put on mute and take your camera off.
Take your stop video.
Yeah, stop your video.
See you in 5 minutes.
Okay, Colby, Matt,
Hey,
Ren.
Robin.
I should have given more time. 5 minutes was.
I know that 5 minutes, the fastest 5 minutes of the day, of the month.
Hi, Shannon. Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. We've got to move through these committees.
Well, I promise I'll be as fast as I possibly can be. So
Okay, good.
hopefully
All
it won't
right,
take so long.
Arthur, Matt. Okay, I'm gonna call roll again. It is 9:55. I can see most of you are here. But I don't see everybody's camera back on. So let me start with roll. It's 9:55. I'm gonna call roll. Tell me if you're here. Colby,
Here.
Robin is here. Arthur,
Here.
Shannon. I see you. Yes. Ren,
Here.
Fred,
Here.
Matt.
Here.
Okay. Jonathan,
Here.
Tess,
Here.
Kevin,
Here.
Sean,
Here.
Jake.
Here.
Okay, everyone is back. Lee and Susanna are still excused. We are all back. Let's move on to, it is 9:56, and we are going to start with Public Safety Committee. Shannon is our new chair. We helped her with the last meeting. So Shannon, why don't you go ahead and start with your first bullet point?
Okay, the Caltrans cleanup discussion. Colby, I think you were going to talk about that.
Or was that Tess?
Tess, I'm sorry, Tess.
Yeah, expert.
Thank you.
Sorry, what? Did you just throw something over to me, Shannon?
Yes, the
Yes.
Caltrans cleanup discussion.
Oh, sorry. Okay, great. Caltrans, actually, this was a great idea that I came from, I think, Jonathan or Sean, which was that each one of the hotspot Caltrans off and on ramps within our district, of which there are 5 or 6, be assigned to one person, or possibly 2 assigned to one person for regular updates, which we circulate and forward to Steve Ferguson, because he has been extremely responsive in handling that. And as the district director for 46th District Adrin-Nazarian, they have jurisdiction over Caltrans. So we've actually drawn up a map, and we started to puzzle it out and identify who would take which off and on ramps. I believe, Sean, you had agreed to do 2, and I was going to do 1 or 2, and Louis Scalacci, I believe, was going to take on 1 or 2. And there might be a 1 or 2 missing. I don't know how bad the Pass Avenue, but the Pass Avenue on-ramp in the western or the eastern part of Toluca Lake, I believe, is in the Burbank area, not.
Yeah, it's the Burbank.
Yeah, it's definitely Burbank. Yeah.
Okay, so then, and I see Steve is reacting to my comments, but yeah, so that was the plan, to have to identify a point person for each off ramp and on ramp, because they are such hotspots, because they are magnets and tend to, when problems occur there, they quickly snowball throughout the area. So that's the plan, and it's already sort of in motion, but we can put it back. It would be great to have it on next month's public safety agenda, Shannon. And do we have a date for that public safety meeting? Because I know the dates got moved around a little bit.
No, the only reason the date was changed was because it was Labor Day weekend. It goes back to the first Monday of each month.
So it's October 3rd.
October, yeah.
Yeah, if we could get that on the agenda for the next public safety meeting, we can have maps submitted and all that for you, Shannon. Okay?
Excellent.
Steve has his hand raised.
Excellent.
Hi, Steve.
Hi there. Thank you so much. Love this conversation around Caltrans. So there is some additional kind of layering that's done in terms of who our liaisons are versus who the public's liaisons are. So, and then how best to kind of divide those efforts. So I'm happy to come to whatever meeting to kind of break that down, but mostly the high level and the very quick summary is that if it has to do with encampments, there's one contact. And then if it's brush clearance or trash pickup, et cetera, that's another contact. So that's mostly how the work gets divided within Caltrans. But again, happy to brief or show up at any meeting. And I do plan on, before the assembly member leaves office, making sure that there are warm introductions to the new assembly member's office, as well as Caltrans officials that will share that contact info before we go.
And so, Steve, may I ask on that point, we'd always want to keep you in the loop because you're the great advocate for our entire community, for which we thank you deeply. And you were, I mean, Steve was great at our meeting last night. But should we then also loop in the respective person, whether it's for encampment cleanup or brush removal?
Yes. So, and thank you for the recognition, but absolutely. So, I mean, and there's kind of, frankly, different strategies that make things successful. So sometimes it's helpful to have the city on with us and sending an email and kind of co-signing that email. Other times it's helpful to have the county. So it really depends on the nature of the clearance, especially if Caltrans is kind of being burdened during the summer months. A lot of folks come out of kind of, frankly, places that are warmer. So they're more out in the open. As a result, more people are reporting and things like that. So there's some strategy to it, but happy to kind of coach through, how I've been able to at least expedite.
Thank you.
Okay. Shannon, the other item, go ahead.
Coyotes, that's Colby.
No, I think I'll speak on that. For the neighborhood watch, I've had numerous reports regarding coyotes, which is why it's on the public safety agenda. We've had many people send videos of coyotes that have been seen on their streets. So please, please, please watch your animals. Go out with your dogs as you walk them, but bring a stick or pepper spray or something to protect your animal and yourself, because these, it's cooler now, but it's going to heat up again, and they're very present on our street. So please just watch your animals. And I saw one go under a fence. So they're not even climbing fences. They can 6-foot fences. I've seen them climb, but just be careful of the coyotes. They're out there.
Robin, I told there was one hanging out in my front yard a week and a half ago. Just
oh wow. Yes,
Shannon. The streetlights are out on Riverside Drive between Cahuenga and Patty's. All of them on one side of the street, and the other side of the street, it's Cahuenga. I believe it's like Trader Joe's. And I did talk to Tiffany about it, and she suggested that it was the copper removal. And Colby and I talked about this, and we're saying no, because that means they would have to go to every single pole. So, I went back to her and just said it's not. There's something flipped, and
I did also the hatches were still intact. I think
exactly. And I also did my 311 report, which I always encourage everybody to do my 311, because she said the more the merrier, get more done. But I don't know where we're going with it. It's just I haven't heard back, and I'll follow up tomorrow. But they're still out. So
remind me. If you don't get a response, I'll try her again, and then if nothing happens, remind me, and I'll call Tiffany and
the citation number that you got, Shannon, forward that citation number to Tiffany.
Oh, you mean from my 311?
Yes.
Oh, I'll can I give it to you later?
Yeah, no, don't give it.
Not now, later on.
Yeah, just forward it on to Tiffany, and she will check on it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. And then Shannon, I will help you make the agenda for next month, and we need to add Tessa's request to add that to the agenda, and also to include Steve, an invite for him. So we'll send him the agenda. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Shannon. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, on to outreach and elections. Matt.
Hello, everyone. So this is, by the way, my first my first chairing presentation, although since Catherine stepped down, I'm the only one on the council who's on this committee, and it is kind of an important committee. So if somebody wants to join me, that would be awesome, because I'm lazy and I'm not the best at notes. So I'd love that. If anybody wants to join me, I could use a co-chair. I promise you I'm fun. So there's a few things that I wanted to share with you, and I know it's late, so I'm going to go fast, promise. I don't know if you've noticed, but the website's been updated. Catherine did a phenomenal job on it, really phenomenal job on it. And so what we're asking for is, take a look at it. If there's anything that you see on there that you have any suggestions or anything, just email me directly. We won't do it tonight's meeting. And then for the committee chairs, she really wants to add an FAQ page on there. So if you guys want to maybe send us some questions that we could then put into the FAQ on the website, that would be awesome. So that's one ask. And just a reminder that the 2023 election is happening on June 22nd at Harmony Church. Again, I know we've said this before, it's a hybrid voting, but it's coming up. And so if you want to take a look at all the dates that you need to know, it's on the neighborhood council election page, and it's all there. So just take a look, just to remind you, it is June 22nd, and that is the whole purpose of my ask for the $850. So here are the things that we were thinking of doing. And again, I want to get some volunteers. So the first thing is I'm going to sit at a table at the farmer's market with Stacy, who's on the committee with me. And if any of you want to join me on a whatever, Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is, I'd love to have you. So that's one thing. So again, I'm going to do it. It's my whole purpose for this is just to get people to know about what we do and that there's a vote coming up and that they could run. I didn't know anything about it. So that's the goal. The second thing is Stacy's going, if you guys don't know Stacy, she's on the committee with me. I think at some point, right, Colby, she was on the council, I think, or maybe she was never on the council. I don't know. No, okay. So she's going to work to see what we can do with the chamber, some kinds of chamber events, and also with the turkey trot. I know we talked about it earlier, but the more that we can get ourselves out there, the better. One of the things I want to do is get us a story in the Toluca Lake magazine. I know that some of you on the council have been in there and have taken ads out in there. So if anybody has a connection to Mark, who's the publisher, I think you'd do a story about us.
I have
actually they are doing a large, a huge story on us, and we've it's already
the 100th
we published for very soon. I think in the next few weeks you'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big story about the neighborhood council. It's actually about all the organizations. So that's the 100th anniversary issue, which should be coming out, I'm going to say, in the next couple of weeks. And you'll see a whole thing on how we got started, I guess.
Okay. And they'll talk about, well, if it's done, it's done, but I'd love for them
to
talk.
It's done. It's already gone to print. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. That's great. That's great news. Okay. But maybe he'll, like, in the next article or the next magazine or something, just allow us to put something in there about, hey, the election is coming up, just so you guys know. This is how you could potentially run for the council. That would be great. That would be great. Okay. And then I told Jake earlier, but I want your help, Jake, on social media. And just kind of, again, I don't really think that many people pay attention to our newsletters. I don't think that many people pay attention to our social media. I want to get the numbers in terms of how many people go on the website monthly and how many people actually are following us. But
we only have 12 subscribers to our YouTube.
Yeah, it's not
account.
Also,
yeah.
12. It's not great. So the more that we can do, the better. And that's also why. So that is why we are asking for money from the council to buy these really awesome tote bags. That's
okay. Hang on. We have to read the motion and then we'll discuss.
Got it. Okay. So I won't get to it yet. So that's it. That's what I got.
Okay. So
Tess has her hand. Tess has been patiently waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Hand raised.
Yeah. So a couple of questions, Matt. I submitted a long time ago. I was on the outreach committee in the beginning, but then I ended up on 84 other committees and one had to go. I have submitted a homeless resources guide for our website, and I've resubmitted it and sent it to Colby a couple of times. If there's any interest in putting that on the website, I think it would be useful. And what it is for residents to have resources to which to connect homeless people or people experiencing homelessness or people in distress, which I do all the time, and it's in use, in heavy use in our neighborhood now, and has been found to be very useful. So this something like this has been discussed. It was requested. I put it together, and I'd be happy to forward it to you again for your review. We all complain about this problem, but this is something that is actionable for every resident, et cetera. And it's helpful because if we're going to try to get people off the street in a humane way, then we need to connect them to the services that they need. So I'll send that to you if you're interested. And I also have some numbers here that I compiled in the beginning of the outreach committee, which I'll share with you about what our statistics were at that time, including subscribers to the newsletter, Twitter followers, Facebook friends, YouTube subscribers, because in my business, I measure what our success rate is, how many subscribers, and I'm happy to hear that you're planning to do that. So I will send you my benchmark numbers from earlier. It would have been this year or late last year, if you're interested.
No, I am. And I also, as you guys know, I generally vote against the homeless votes that you guys vote for. But I have also been, I got the information, so thank you. I've been bothering all of my friends at homeless organizations in LA to get me their information. And I am compiling it. So that will be on the website. It is driving me crazy that it's taking so long. But I thank you, Tess. I know you sent it.
Okay, well, I mean, I would like to see yours because the key to mine is, and when I say mine, they're simply resources that I compiled, is they are resources within our geographic region. There's no point in sending a homeless person with no transportation to Santa Barbara or Venice or, Downey when they can't even get 3 blocks. So anyway, should I send it to you or not, or you already have it?
I have it.
Okay. Thanks. All right.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I got.
So are we gonna?
Also, I'd like I think Catherine's done a great job, and we really want to cut down our reliance and the amount we spend for TYS, which is, as you know, $6,000 a year, but that $6,000 includes website maintenance. However, I'm seeing that Catherine, and I'm sure other people can learn from her or learn on their own or already have the knowledge of working with WordPress, and there's potential to save $5,000 or more per year if there are more people like Catherine Hatton who can adjust the website. It will just, it would increase our budget essentially by
and again, it's a wonderful, wonderful idea if more people would take on this responsibility. But Catherine is no longer on our board. Maybe we could go to her and ask her to help us, like Matt is, because is she still on your committee? Matt, is she? Yeah. Okay. But, we do have to have some resource in place. Maybe we could set ourselves up to be self-sufficient where we don't need them. But once we eliminate it, the money is swept away, and it's not like they'll go with something else. Everything has to be revoted on. I mean, it's the same story we've been saying over and over. So yes, Matt, God bless you for taking this on, because we do need some updating, and we need some simplification to get this job done. So thank you for taking that on.
Thank you.
Yeah, and again, it's a huge priority. It's been a huge priority for over a year.
Yes,
to become a website self-sufficient. And you're doing that, which is great. I'm going to go to Fred. Hi, Fred.
Hey, Matt. So I would like to know about the farmers market events you're doing, and what time do they start, or will you get there, and what can people bring, like other people who want to sit with you, like chairs, tables, balloons, flowers, like what other things can people bring, and what time do you start?
All of the above. I'm waiting to connect. Stacy, who's on the committee with me, is going to get that information for me. And then as soon as I have it, I'll let everybody know. So I have no idea timing. I'm not a morning person, so you're not going to see me at 8 a.m.
Yeah, I don't think they start at 8 a.m. I don't believe so. And it goes till 2. You don't have to sit there the entire time. It's just having a presence. And I have worked the farmer's market before in many capacities. You don't even necessarily need a table and chairs. You just need to be there and walk around and talk to people and say, hi, do you know about the neighborhood council? That's really all you need to do. And maybe hand out a little QR code that says, go online and look at our website. That's it.
So I think that what I hear is that Fred and Robert are going to be joining me tomorrow.
Yay!
Yeah, definitely.
Ben.
Matt, on November 9th, the Chamber's having our annual meeting, and it's going to be at the Gary Marshall Theater, and we're going to do like a mixer. So if you want to come to that and be part of that, that'd be a great event for you to do because we'll have a lot of people there.
Awesome. I'm going to write that. I think, like I said, I know Stacy was working with the Chamber, so that sounds great. Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay.
Okay, so do we want to go ahead and vote on motion I, Matt?
Yeah,
So
and I can share my screen when we get to that point.
Okay. Motion I to approve up to $850 for 250 GTLNC logo branded tote bags for outreach giveaways. Do I have a first?
Shannon.
Shannon. Thank you, Shannon. Do I have a second?
Fred.
Fred. I heard Fred. Thank you. Okay, discussion. Matt, take it away.
Can I just I'm very quickly share my screen, so I don't need too long on this.
Oh, let me I have to make you give you that ability. Let me find you.
So anyway, so what I'll okay, now I got it. So we figured we would do these. You guys can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we figured we would do tote bags. We were thinking of like, what honestly would people want? And this would be something that people could carry around with them. And hopefully, those folks who are like bringing it to Trader Joe's or whatever, if it happens to come up, if anybody happens to see it, it would be great. And we were thinking, actually, I think this was the color. We have to figure that one out. But this is what they look like. It's a great size. Our logo would be right here, and it's a good deal. I mean, for 250 bags, it's $220 each, which is a really good deal. And then $595 is the total, but then there's shipping and handling. So that's why we said up to $850. But this is what we were thinking in terms of what we would buy.
Did you look at any other sources other than this one? And was this the cheapest? Yeah.
It was the cheapest, but it was also the nicest. The other ones that we saw were like nylon bags, and like this was the one that like just looked like, it looks like it's a real bag that like you can actually put groceries in, and it's a nice bag. It's also a really good deal.
Any other questions for Matt about the bags?
I have not a question, just a comment. There's a lot of, I believe there's a good amount of GTLNC logo branded swag. Robin, correct me
yes, I think there's cups and pens and hats, and there's all kinds of
stored away at Harmony Church. Mark's been very nice to let us for free so far store a lot of stuff. When we long time ago we had an office, and then everything we've been downsizing as our budget's been downsized, and I don't know if it's
Catherine should be aware. She should have.
If it's prudent for us to check that closet out and see what we already have. I don't know if we have. I don't think we have tote bags. But I'm not sure before we commit a good amount of money to more branded merchandise. I just wanted to bring that point up.
Yeah, I asked Catherine actually, because that was what we talked about. Like, what's the point of doing this if we already have it? And she is convinced, because she was like, I don't think that if there's any in there, there's like not very many in there, but happy to go take a look and see if there are. But she does not believe that there's anything.
Colby, do you have an inventory list of what's still in that closet? Didn't Catherine and Kelly?
It might be on a drive somewhere. I could.
I mean, Catherine would be the best go-to to ask, and I'm surprised as chair she didn't kind of already know, because she's got a pretty good handle on that.
So Matt, you're saying that she said that there's not much material in there.
He said that, yes.
Okay, well, she would know.
You would know. That's
Okay.
what you wouldn't even have had this conversation or been, come to you to ask you for money if we thought that there was anything in there.
Yeah. Now, can I just make a recommendation that if you're going to do this, could you maybe put on there that it's the 100th anniversary of Toluca Lake so that we actually have something that is going to reflect the celebration?
Sure.
So it would have the logo, but it would also say, 1923 to 2023 or 100 celebration or something. So maybe, because every organization is going to be asked to participate in some way. And since you're already asking for a logo, a branded item, maybe you could get ahead of the game.
I love that. We can do like one side could be the Toluca Lake logo and the other side could be the anniversary. That's great.
Yeah. But if you combined it, it's still cheaper, like rather than doing two sides, because I think they do charge for each side, just FYI.
So you're saying you want me to spend more money, Robin? That's what you're asking me.
No, I don't. That's why I said put it all on one side. Okay, I see Jonathan's hand.
Okay, let me call him up.
Thanks. My first concern is, since I guess this is something we're going to be voting on, I'm always wanting to be supportive of anything in front of me. Right now, I'm not comfortable with the budget because we really don't know what's going on with the budget. That's the bottom line, having to do with the Foreman project. Beyond that, my concern of the bags are that I'm not understanding what the goal is. Now, I understand a bag is to put groceries in and to walk around and it's a branded item. But in this case, you're only getting 250 of them. And I'm kind of thinking in terms of we have maybe a need for signing up 5,000 people. So 250 doesn't really go far in a program. So for me, that's why I kind of deferred to something like stickers or something where you get 1,000 for a set amount of money and you've really got something to work on a long-term, or not a long-term, but a project, rather than a giveaway that you can give 250 bags away in 3 days and have nothing to show for it. So that's my objection to it, and I won't be voting for it, not because I'm not supportive, man, I am, but I don't see the program. I just think the price point is wrong and the timing is wrong until we resolve our budget. Thank you.
And Tess? Unmute Tess.
Thanks. So Colby, you brought up an important point, like what is our inventory? And you and I discussed this briefly when, I don't recall why, but within the last month, we wanted to avoid checking out the storage area so as not to overstay our storage welcome. And if there's an uncertainty about what we have, we need to get clarity on that before we spend any taxpayer money. And I also agree with Jonathan. I mean, I'd like to see that we get more bang for our buck. For example, the stickers that we worked on a month or two or three ago, I think there would be more utility and you get more for, you get more bang for your buck, Matt, and they could be put into store windows where there would be a higher visibility over a longer period of time. So that would be my comment.
Well, I think so really quickly, what we would do first is obviously what I want is to have the approval to be able to spend up to $850. But before we would do anything, of course, we'd go to the storage unit. And if there are 1,000 bags in there, which there aren't, obviously we wouldn't do this. And then the second thing is we did have the conversation about the stickers at the meeting, and we just thought that wasn't worthwhile. So that's why we're going with the bags.
Okay, so the stickers are out, but I'm not exactly clear. So we do know what our inventory is, or we don't?
We do not believe that there are any bags in there that can be used, or more than, or enough. But like I said, I'm happy to, obviously, before we spend any money, we can certainly.
Yeah, can we find out what we have? Because if nobody knows, thank you. And by the way, I just sent you the statistics, Matt, for the, the social media numbers as of August 1st last year, or August 4th. And I'd be happy to send them to anyone else on the board who is interested so that we have a benchmark for what we're trying to accomplish. And I see that we have doubled our YouTube numbers from 6 to 12 in over a year. So I think there's some work to be done, and I'm looking to Jake to help us with that social media. So that's it for me.
Well, Matt, would you like to postpone this vote or do you want to try for it now?
No, I want to try for it. And what it will be is, let's go for the vote. Obviously, it's spending up to 850, so we won't necessarily go that high. And before we buy anything or order any bags, we'll go take a look and see what we have. But I want, if I can, I want the vote now. If it fails, then we'll do it again next month.
Okay, any other?
Yeah, we have Fred has a quick comment. Hopefully real
Really, I just wanted to say that I really like the idea of these bags because they can go to the grocery store and go to Trader Joe's and go to other places where people will see them. And plus, it's like a special edition. It's kind of like a showpiece and something to brag about. I actually think they get more traction than stickers. My opinion. I like the bags.
No, my question is, if it's voted in, and then we find out that we have some sort of, probably not bags, but some other comparable swag rotting away in a storage locker at the church, then we would just, we've already voted to approve this. Catherine's better at this nuances, but
well,
if we vote this in, then they were kind of committed to doing it, and then but the time to find out would be, before we vote on it.
But Colby, the items in the storage unit, if I remember correctly, because back when we did Earth Day and Jason and I would go and grab items to give out, it's random. There may be a handful of things that are still there, but there isn't a lot of anything. If there is even anything left, because I wasn't actually there when they boxed everything up. But the idea of a new branded bag with the 100th anniversary, and since the entire community is going to get involved, it might be kind of nice, like I said, to get a jump on this and, to actually show some pride for the 100th anniversary. Maybe it will get some traction because we'll be one of the first people to have it.
Okay, let's get to a vote.
Okay. Motion I to approve up to $850 for 250 GTLNC logo branded tote bags for outreach giveaways. I'm going to start with Arthur and come back so I can take the vote. Arthur, how do you vote?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Ren?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Lee and Susanna are excused. Jonathan?
No.
I'm sorry, can you repeat
No.
that?
No.
No? Okay,
Thanks.
Tess?
No.
Did you say no?
Said no, correct.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Jake, because it's money, is ineligible. Colby?
Abstain.
Abstain. And Robin, I'm a yes. So it looks like motion carries, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yeses. Hold on. 8 yeses. I have 2 no's. Now here's where it's going to get weird because the middle thing is usually the abstention, and now it's a no. So I see where the abstention goes. So I'm going to change that on the other votes. I'm going to put abstentions at the end, the third position. So it's 8-2-1. Motion carries. Thank you, Matt, for that hard work.
And again, thank you, by the way. And again, if anybody wants to join me on the committee, please, 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 I need somebody else. And I'm glad I have 2 volunteers now already for the table at the farmer's market. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. All right, government affairs.
Oh my gosh, holy mackerel. Okay, well, we covered the Council File 22-1100 S5 item in Plum, the committee report earlier. I wanted to bring to the attention of the entire board that the California state line-by-line expenditures were just released at openthebooks.org, which is, I think, a very key part of fiscal responsibility and what's happening to taxpayer money. So we have pending guest speakers, which was also touched on just now, the Caltrans district idea of identifying hotspots and connecting or assigning someone either on the board or within the community to give more periodic updates, including photos of what's happening on the Caltrans off and on ramps, the freeway off and on ramps. And the last bullet point is a variation on the same thing, directing services to those hotspots. And we've spoken to Steve Ferguson about bringing in some Caltrans district executives to talk to our committee, possibly to our board. We're always interested in legislative analysts and people who can come to the committee and shed light on some of these often complex pieces of legislation. And we're open to suggestions for guest speakers from the community. And as I understand it, we now have a date for our next Government Affairs Committee meeting on Thursday, October 6th. Thank you for moving that date, Robin and Colby, so that our Jewish board members and stakeholders, there's no conflict with the Jewish holiday. So that's it for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any new business?
Nope.
I don't see any hands.
No hands raised. No hands raised. All right. Therefore, I'm going to call a meeting over at 10:30 p.m.
10:30, and our next meeting is Tuesday, October 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. So at 10:30 p.m., we are closing the meeting. Thank you all for your patience and have a great week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.